I'm gonna move up one, maybe I can hear about it. Well, I got a deviated septum and just got this here stopped up completely. And this one ain't working. Sure.
Good afternoon. Let's go ahead and call the Selma City Council meeting to order. We do have a quorum. At this time, I'm going to ask Councilwoman Jackson if you would be so kind to give us the invitation.
Yes, sir. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day and for this opportunity to come before your precious and holy throne. Lord God, we ask that you work in us and through us to accomplish your will and yours alone on this day. Lord God, give us wisdom and discernment. Lord God, give us righteous discernment of not only what to do for your city, but what is right long term. Lord God, we ask us to use us for your will alone, Lord God. Not our will be done, but your will be done. We decrease that you may increase inside of us, Lord God. We lay down every weight and every sin that so easily beset us, Lord God. We forgive each other, Lord God, and we forgive those that have offended us or caused us any wrongdoing, Lord God. We just come in with a closed mind, closed off from any negativity, Lord God, and open to your word, to your voice, Lord God. You said that your sheep know of your voice, and a stranger they will not follow. Lord God, lead your leaders today in your way, in your will. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilwoman Jackson. Let us stand for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
President Bowie.
Present.
Councilman Bowling. Councilwoman Youngblood. Here. Councilwoman Jackson.
Present.
Councilwoman Benjamin. Here. Councilman Randolph.
Here.
Councilman LaShore.
Here.
Councilwoman Thomas.
Present.
Councilman Johnson.
Here. As stated before, we do have a board. The character trait of the month is resourcefulness, making wise use of what others might overlook or discard. At this time, council members, you have before you the January 22nd agenda. Are there any deletion, correction? At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the January 22nd agenda.
So moved, Mr. President.
I have a motion by Councilman Johnson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Youngblood. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
President Bowie.
Yes.
Councilman Bowling. Councilwoman Youngblood.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jackson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Benjamin.
Yes.
Councilman Randolph.
Yes.
Councilman LaShore.
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas. Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, the regular agenda was approved unanimously. Council members, you have before you 4 items for the consent agenda. Like always, if you would like to remove any item, I have read all 4 items, you can remove them. Consent item number 1, to approve resolution R-119-1819, amending the date for the hospitality LLC, February 28, 2019, or beyond, if necessary, to resolve the claim for damage to the building and for the developer to complete finances for the hotel. In addition, the City Council grant the mayor and council president acting jointly to sign all documents in the closing of the hotel. Consent item number 2, to approve the City of Selma mileage from 54 cents to 58 cents to be in compliance with the state of Alabama, only for employees without current travel expense account that are entitled to receive the mileage. Consent item number 3, to move the work session to the second and fourth Mondays, and consent item number 4, to approve the partnership agreement as reported and recommendation by the Selma City Council Special Committee on the 2019 Bridge Crossing Jubilee. At this time, council members, what's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. President, I'd like to ask to remove the 4th item.
The 4th item, okay?
Discussion.
All right. At this time, we have 3 items for the consent agenda. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve 3 items on the consent agenda.
So moved,
We have a
Mr.
motion by Councilwoman Youngblood. Do we have a second? Do we have a second for consent? Second by Councilman Short. Any further discussion, questions? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
President Bowie?
Yes.
Councilman Bowe, Councilwoman Youngblood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Benjamin?
Yes.
Councilman Randolph?
Yes.
Councilman LaShaw?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
I'm out of this thing for being absent.
Okay, all right, we have 3 items that were approved for the consent item. Number 4, we would move it to the regular agenda. Council members, you have before you the January the 8th minutes. Hopefully, everyone has had an opportunity to peruse the minutes. Are there any corrections? Are there any corrections?
Move for adoption.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Councilman LaShaw to move for adoption. We have a second by Councilman Johnson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
President Bowie?
Yes.
Councilman Bowe, Councilwoman Youngblood?
I abstained. I was absent from that meeting.
Councilwoman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Benjamin?
Yes.
Councilman Randolph?
I abstain. I was absent.
Councilman LaShaw?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Okay, the motion passed for the January the 8th, 2019 minutes. Now to the citizens' request. We have Mr. Speed, CEO of Walker Johnson YMCA, update on the YMCA. How you doing, sir?
Good, how you doing, Chief?
Doing fine.
Thank you so much. Mr. Council, I want to thank you so much for this opportunity. My 7 weeks here at the YMCA, we have gotten a few things accomplished. We continue our collaboration with Selma City Schools for our after-school care program. We have launched a basketball program with over 100 children in our program. And we look to expand those programs as well. And so we're excited about what's coming down in the near future. My visit here this evening is concerning the lodging fees, the proceeds from those lodging fees that we have benefited from for the past several years. The Y has truly benefited, and those have been, per that agreement with the city, those have been used for our proceeds to help with capital expenditures. And so I bring somewhat of a concern this evening, but I do know that those funds might be challenged in the near future, but the Y has truly benefited from those proceeds. And so my opportunity to you this evening is, if you could see fit, to allow the Y to continue to receive those proceeds. We believe that we are about 3 years away from getting over this cloud at the YMCA. And I do know that, as I expressed on my last visit, that the health and wellness of the community is really inherent in its YMCA. Also, I believe the city does benefit because each person who visits the hotels that are near the YMCA have the opportunity to come to the Y and use those facilities. So I think it's a great benefit, not only for the Y, but to the citizens or those who visit our fair city here in Selma. And so that being said, I would hope that the city would consider continuing those proceeds from the lodging fees, because we have truly been blessed and benefited by those.
Are there any questions? Any questions? Councilwoman Benjamin.
Thank you, Mrs. Speed. I'm assuming everyone at the Y has brought you up to speed.
No pun intended, right?
No pun intended at all. But they have brought you up to speed on the background of this lodging tax and what we do concerning discussion about it every single year. They brought you up to speed on that.
Well, I would like to think that they have. I've been asking several questions to truly understand what that agreement and what that benefit has been in the past, and so certainly want to make sure I truly understand what that is.
We've been back and forth concerning the lodging fees and the weaning off of the YMCA of that particular area of funding. It was a wonderful, wonderful bailout that we were able to provide for the YMCA.
Sure.
And our hopes were that the YMCA could slowly wean itself off of that lodging tax.
Sure.
And so it's been a back and forth of the Y coming back and making a report when around the time it's time to run out, we get a report from the YMCA, and then we go back into discussion concerning why it's continued to be needed.
Understood.
And I just wanted to know if you were brought up to speed on all of that.
Well, that certainly helps me coming in. Again, this is my 7th week in the role and trying to address several issues immediately because that Y does certainly need some tender loving care. So that gives me some more insight into what has been and what should be in the future. And so that truly helps me as we look forward to making necessary plans to work with this YMCA.
And hopefully your transition is going smoothly.
It is, it is. We have been met with a few challenges, but no challenges that we can't handle. The community has been very, very receptive, very hospitable, and we believe that the best is yet to come. And so we do appreciate what the city has done for the YMCA thus far. Again, I do appreciate the time, the audience, and if there's any way that the city could reconsider or consider, I certainly would be amenable to that.
And then finally, Mrs. Speed, concerning membership recruitment.
Yes.
Membership recruitment is huge, not just the Y, but any organization.
Absolutely.
It actually keeps it alive if the members actually pay.
Right, right.
You can probably see my son there around 5:30 a.m. Break the sun. He's there. I make sure he comes and he utilizes the YMCA. But what have you all done, if you know the answer to this, concerning membership recruitment? Since the last time we talked, which was not with the previous person that represented the YMCA.
I'm not sure much was done in the way of membership recruitment, but what we have planned moving forward is, for example, right now we are promoting a member get a member campaign, but we're using current members, giving them an incentive to help recruit those who are non-members. We're also looking at enhancing our corporate membership program. Right now we provide a 10% discount to those who are involved in our corporate program, but that's all that we're doing. So with that said, we can be more proactive, and I and staff tend to visit these corporations to find out what else we can do by way of wellness programs, how we can assist the corporations, because we believe a healthy employee is a happy employee. So we'll be a lot more, I would say, proactive in membership, because we just can't sit on our laurels believing that folks will come without being intentional.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilwoman Benjamin. Councilwoman Thomas?
I wanted to ask you a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Your ending date for this funding for the YMCA, will it be, is it February?
Yes, that's my
February,
understanding.
what exactly date February would be?
Sometime about the end of February.
The end of February?
Yes, because we'll be receiving it monthly.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Bashir?
Mr. Speed, I don't want you to leave here, and I'm hoping that, as my council colleague asked, we were hoping that you would brought up to speed with the functioning, the operation of the Brown YMCA. It was renewed 2 years ago. There was some arm twisting by myself and Councilman Johnson to get our colleagues to extend that for an additional 2 years. But if you go back and read the minutes of this council, it was predicated on that 2 years being renewed, knowing that giving the YMCA an opportunity to get other resources in place.
Sure thing.
Because this council was not going to be prepared to extend that contract beyond February of this year.
Understood. Okay.
So I don't think, because I'm just one vote, but I don't think this council is going to vote to extend that contract.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, Councilwoman
Yeah,
Randolph.
and Mr. Speed, thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you.
And I hope that you all can avail yourselves of a lot of things that are available out there in the grant, at-risk youth funding. We do provide a lot of services for children and for families in crisis. So I hope that you can avail yourselves of those sorts of things. And coming from the background that you do, you know, of a lot of those kind of things. And it's very regretful that the city is in the situation that it's in now. The Y is very important to the city. And I think that we're all lovers of the Y, and I think that we've all used the Y and appreciate it. And I think my friend and colleague, Councilwoman Benjamin, had characterized it as the bailout. Ironically, it was the Y who had done research on things that cities had worked in partnerships with otherwise. And they brought this lodging tax to us, and we did that, did that. And it is very painful for us to look at our situation and have to say, we have got families who are struggling now to decide whether they're going to have to buy medicine or food for their family.
Understood.
You know, if they're going to, we're having to look at now, are we going to give our children the best education, or are we going to be able to have our families put breakfast on the table before they go to school? Thankfully, at school, some of their breakfast programs sometimes. But that, that's just where we are, regrettably. And it certainly will give me no pleasure bearing some huge windfall to not be able to do this. But anyway, I just want you to know what my sentiments are, and I'm sure that reflects the sentiments of all ours. I don't think any of us taking any pleasure in him to say that. And I will also tell you that, speaking for myself, and I feel like I share the sentiments of other people up here too, should some big largesse fall on the city of Selma and the Selma City Council, we will be back supporting the Y should it become necessary to do something else. Thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any other comments, questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now to the mayor's report.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, Mayor. I will try not to be too long on the report. You see I have 17 different items in there. Not actually the vote on anything this evening. Just want to discuss a few things with you. As you are aware that we have a new probate judge inside the city, well, in Dallas County, Selma, Dallas County, who have served the city of Selma for 18 years. And I think he's done a great job with that under 3 different administrations. And I would like the council to join with me in the mayor's office to find a way to acknowledge his service to the city. And so, Mr. President, anytime you feel like whatever committee you want to put together, or just me and you can meet to find out what ways we can acknowledge their service to the city of Selma, I think it is well worth doing that to acknowledge probate Jimmy Nunn, say that he's calling probate judge. Services to the city of Selma. So I would like to build a joint effort for the mayor's office and the council to do something to recognize his service to the city. Also, landfill director Larry Friday is retiring at the end of this month. I also would like for my office and the council to find some type of way to acknowledge Mr. Friday. Councilwoman Young, you may have known, I'm not sure how many years he's been with the city.
A long time. I've known him as long as I've been.
So he serves a dual capacity. He works for the county as well as the city. And so I would like President Boyd, if you can assign, because what happens in the county and the city is he's a department head for the city, and we provide supplement pay for him as a department head for the city, which means the land feel already in need of additional staffing, but we still would need a department head of the landfill. And if you would consider assigning that to the administrative committee, I think Councilman Bolden is on the administrative committee to find out ways that we can maybe promote the guy who's just sat there, but we have to do some kind of adjustments to the budget since he's already employed, but also open another position to hire someone else. Landfill only have, I think, 2 employees out there now, so it's understaffed already. And I would love for the president and council to put it in the administrative committee, and Councilman Bolden to come back with a suggestion or recommendation to the council.
Okay.
What you have in your package as well on this evening is the Bridge to the Future infrastructure package that I've included in this package that I've given you tonight. And that is revenue measures for gasoline, and also a copy of the floodplain management. In that plan, if you've been reading Montgomery Advertisers and AL.com, the state legislature, one of the main priorities, even the governor of the state, Governor Ivey, stated during her inauguration that her focus this year is going to be on infrastructure. We've been having this conversation now for over a year about our local infrastructure. Usually how it works on the state level, and I'm speaking from past experience, once gasoline tax is raised on the state level, the majority of that money goes to state highways and state projects. The rest of it goes to county, and the city may get crumbs from it. I think it is very critical that we consider raising our gasoline tax to some level that we can put in place a comprehensive system whereby we can repave, repair, and resurface all the streets and sidewalks inside the city of Selma on a 5-year continual basis. I think the time is now. I've talked to some of my former colleagues. The posture that they have as state legislators, if they pass the statewide gasoline tax, which may be up to 10 cents a gallon, their conversation is to prohibit cities from doing it moving forward, which means that the city of Selma, we may not get our fair share from the statewide gasoline tax. But if we go ahead and move now on our end, we can recoup all of those funds to put into the streets and of Selma. Now, I'm not asking you to vote on that tonight. I'm asking you to assign that, I think, to the Public Works Committee, which is Councilman Johnny LaShore. If you can assign that to this committee and let the committee vet this to see if there's something they want to bring before the whole council. But I want to bring that up tonight to you all, for you all to vet and go through this package that I've given to you. It's a thick package with a lot of information in there. And tonight we won't have the time to go through all the information, but if you can put that in the committee, I would love to sit down and talk with the committee and members of the council about the infrastructure package that I placed before you on this evening.
Mayor, before we go further, what timeline will the state be imposing this gasoline tax?
Well, my understanding, the state legislature will be convening in March of this year. If that's going to be the first item on the agenda, usually the process, the first week, bills are introduced, they're drafted, they go into committee. Once they come out of committee, it can happen the next regular session that they have. That's how quickly they can move. It can be within 2 weeks that bill can be passed. Now, I can't see what the posture of the whole legislative body is. I know there's some resistance on the north part of the state about the gasoline tax. However, there's some people in the Black Belt region who need it desperately. Smaller cities, Sumter County and so forth, Greene County, counties like that who need these revenues. So you have it's a lot of bipartisanship that's going to be going on. So they may be as quick as 2 weeks into them convening. So I would urge the council to make a decision prior to the state legislature convening.
And if that passed with us, this money will be strictly earmarked for the roads and whatever.
Streets and sidewalks.
Right, okay.
And I would ask the council to only do that, knowing that it's going to be earmarked, to make it legally binding, to make it earmarked just for those purposes. It's desperately needed when you drive through our city. You've seen the potholes, you've seen the cave-in. Many of your wards have cave-ins that you've seen, and we just don't have the resources to continue to try to put band-aids on these major issues that we have. I believe that we can put a system in place, regardless of who's in the administrative office, regardless of who's on the council, that this is going to be a concern for the city of Selma as we continue to move forward into the 21st century. The issue about whether or not we can fix potholes and fix cave-ins. If we're repaving the streets on a 5-year basis like the state does, we don't have to worry about potholes unless there's some type of emergency that come up due to the infrastructure, but we won't have to worry about those type of things. So I think it's very significant that we consider this.
Mr. Mayor, how are we going to ensure that the money is earmarked and is truly earmarked for the infrastructure, for the road? How is that going to be?
A great question. Currently, we already have money that's earmarked for infrastructure. It's obligated money. We can't touch it now, but it's not enough to do what we need to do inside the city of Selma for the streets inside the city of Selma. So the council simply passed an ordinance, local ordinance, dedicating this money strictly to the gasoline account. We won't be able to touch it for any other purposes except for the fix the streets and sidewalks inside the city of Selma.
Mayor, about how much money in your estimation would this 5-cent gas tax generate over 1 year period?
Right now, we are collecting roughly $600,000 in gasoline, local gasoline tax. With the proposal before you, it would generate another between $800,000 to $900,000. So we're looking at between $1.4 to $1.5 million worth of gasoline funding annually. It is my hope that we don't use that money just to exhaust it out of account, but we use that money possibly to float a bond, and that money be strictly, which goes back to Councilman Youngblood's question, if we tie that money to a bond, it will strictly have to be used for that purposes to make sure that we can continue to pay the streets and sidewalks inside the city of Selma.
Mayor, I think you did a cost analysis on some of the streets.
Yes, it's included in that package.
It's included in the package.
It's included in the package.
Mayor, I have a situation on Division Street where the roads is higher than the house and the water's rolling down into the property of the residents. Would that be considered where we can use them funds to correct that issue as well?
Yes, it's part of the package, which you see in the flood management study as well, which is included in there, is to make sure that we repair these roads where water is eroding away the asphalt. And so part of that would be in the package to address issues such as that.
Right, because we need to make sure when they do come and do the roads, they need to be able to scrape them. Because what they're doing in the past, I think they'll put asphalt on top of asphalt, and we're not scraping the streets. Right. We need to make sure they scrape them down pretty good and come on back up, because that one, the division is like a mountain so high, and I don't think that would have been straight. So, yeah, I hope if we do pass it, that we can get them to do it right the first time.
And I will add to that, members of the president, the board, members of the council, is that not only want to implement this plan, we would love to create in the Public Works Department a unit that would focus strictly on repaving streets all year long. That will be their jobs, because we have a lot of streets, a lot of mileage to cover. And so there'll be a specialty in that department, which means we will have to hire people to come in who will be strictly focusing on the repair of city streets.
I guess two questions. How would we prioritize the streets?
They're in the package. It's broken down in that package on how we would evaluate and rate each street. Of course, our major thoroughfares always first priority, and then we will rate the street based off different circumstances that are going on into that street. I.e., for example, North Broad, we've been talking about for a while now. It's like a roller coaster on North Broad. That needs to be fixed like quick in a hurry. Things like that. Franklin, right behind Selma High School. It's a very difficult road. Crescent Hill, patch potholes down that whole street over there. So things like that, of course, will take priority, but there's a rating scale inside that package on how we would grade what is more important. Ultimately, the council will have to vote on what process you all would like to follow.
And who's the flood management administrator for the city? Richardson?
Well, with the flood management package that you have included in there is conversations working with Corps engineers. And you know, we got the money recently for this flood plan study, and so that included some of that inside there in that package. So Henry is working with the Corps engineers, plan development department, and also the mayor's office, and that's where that comes from.
Okay. Councilwoman Benjamin and Councilwoman Jackson and Councilwoman Thomas.
Mayor, on your fiscal year capital plan, I know that one of the priorities, primary objectives is to fund shovel-ready projects.
Yes.
And it's also to fund program management services for continued project development. Is that an outsource or Tell me about that part right there.
So that will be determined by the council. That's why I would love to put it in the committee. I believe we can do it locally, and maybe the city can partner or have a contract, or we can have a retainer on board for that, and those are options that we can consider. So that will be left up to the council. This is just a proposal, and whatever way the council would like to go, that'll be upon the council.
And you know, just before the committee, just to ask this part. So no total number that we're looking at in here would include that particular amount, right? You want us to come up with a
For, you say
for the
total
fund,
number?
funding the program management services.
Now, when you say a number,
I see a number in the, you gave us a lot of blue.
right, those streets, that's all the streets. Those are, that's work that have already been done. By the Public Works Department. It's already been done, estimates based off the cost right now.
Okay.
Now, costs can always fluctuate, asphalt prices can change, that's based off current costs.
And just for the streets and not for the management services? Right?
Yes, streets and sidewalks, strictly, yes.
Councilwoman Jackson?
Are we currently collecting our gas tax to our full potential? Have we put something in place since Mr. Jones came and spoke to us regarding that matter?
Yes, we are. The process, which I would love the council to consider too as we go through this gasoline tax package, some wholesalers, from my understanding, pay once they deliver. However, others pay after they go and look at the pump on how much was paid. I think what is advantageous for the city is to have all wholesalers pay us once they deliver, because it's easy to vouch for how much was delivered based off what was pumped at the pump. So if they deliver 10,000 gallons, the retailer pay for the 10,000 gallons, we should get ours at the same time as well. I would love for the council to implement that as a solution instead of having some people doing one way and others doing another way.
We need to place.
And so currently, because we haven't implemented that as a solution, we're not
Well,
actually collecting.
right now locally, it gives options. It gives options. So we collect based off the paperwork we give, and they submit that to us. Most of them come from the wholesalers.
Okay, and so the station that was discussed back in September that actually had receipts for Rutledge, Alabama here in Selma, have we had a chance for anyone to go out there and view which way they're paying and why they actually have Rutledge, Alabama? Are we getting their sales tax from inside the stores where their gas tax?
Yes, we have. About that, Rutledge, Alabama is where the owner is from, not necessarily where the taxes were going. But again, wholesalers pay that cost. Not what you see on your receipt. The wholesalers pay that cost up front, so that's not included on your receipt.
So are they paying our sales tax?
That's a question for RDS. They handle all our sales taxes.
Okay. So you're stating that they are paying the gas tax and you're not sure about that?
Well, I would have to vouch on how much they're paid to get all the information with you from the tax collector department, but when it comes to sales taxes, the city does not collect sales tax. The RDS collect all our sales taxes. So
sales tax, RDS collects, so I need to speak to them, but you are stating that they are actually paying gas tax.
To the best of my knowledge, I would check with Ms. Lewis to verify that.
Okay. Another question I have for you. Have you spoken with local citizens as well as business owners to determine how this additional cost for the gas tax would impact them? I know at your state of the city, you stated something to the tune of $20 per year, which is not bad. But how many gallons of gas is that per week? Which I think Mr. Varnum, if I read correctly, stated about $10 a gallon a week would equate to about $30 a year. Now,
it depends on what kind of car you drive.
Right, I was just about to say now, I put way more than $10 in my little vehicle, and I had to change vehicles because the gas was so expensive. What about those fleet companies that we have here? What about the Pepsis of the world that have several different trucks in and out? How is it going to impact them? What about our local business people that have small businesses but have several trucks or cars and that they fuel here? Have we done an analysis to determine whether they would go outside of the city of Selma and actually purchase their gas, and would it in fact hurt us rather than bring us good?
Well, good question. Here's the reality. Gasoline prices change every day, fluctuate every day. You as a customer, you never know what sales tax you're paying and the price that you pay at the pump. That price is already inside of that cost you're paying at the pump. Right now, we're fortunate enough being $1.89 or whatever. Well, one time we got almost up to $4 a few years back. So that price is already inside of that overall price you're paying. Montgomery went up on their sales taxes. They're the highest gasoline tax. They're the highest gasoline tax now inside the city, inside the state. They're the highest right now. They saw what the legislature was doing. So regardless if people don't want to pay it local, the state legislature is saying we're going to raise gasoline tax on you. So if you don't get in and sell, we're still going to charge you 10 cents in whatever city you go to. There's no way around that based off the conversation that the state legislature is having. But what I would like to happen is for the committee to take it up. And if the committee feels there's a need to go, because the committee said, well, we don't even want this, there's no need to go into the public and trying to get the public to buy into it. So that's why I asked to be signed to the committee.
One other question. So essentially, the current gas tax you can sell, is that 4 cents?
4 cents.
4 cents. And you're asking that we raise it another?
Well, up to 5 cents, the maximum amount to do everything inside that package. But you know, of course, that's always up for negotiation. Montgomery right now is at 7 cents. The state saying we can put 10 cents on top of you. So I mean, that's always up for negotiation. But I think we have to do something to make sure we get our fair share of the pie. When the state legislature passed bills, it's not for cities. The state is not friendly towards cities. And I'm speaking to you as a former legislator. I know what we did. We focus on state projects and county projects. And so I want Selma to get its fair share when it comes to the gasoline tax. I don't want us to be left out the conversation, left out saying, well, we'll give y'all crumbs, when we know we need actually millions to fix our city streets. And so that's why I'm in the partial I am about us having our own local gas tax.
And so essentially we're looking at, and if the legislature would approve the 10 cents, we're looking at about 19 cents right here in Selma.
Well, no, it'll be an additional 15 cents. We're already at 4 cents.
So what I'm saying, I didn't say additional, I'm saying
Right.
we'll be looking at 19 cents payment.
If we don't raise anything in Selma, we'll be looking at 14 cents.
Okay, and
Right.
so we're looking at 14 cents or 19 cents.
But with 19, understanding we getting all that 5 cents. With the 14, we only get 4 cents.
So with the 14, we only get 4 cents.
Yes.
Have we tried talking to the county? The city resides in the county. If they're going to do an increased tax of 10 cents, and we're the largest city in the county, have we discussed anything with them about not incurring additional costs for the city and not running people to Valley Grande or another city to buy their gas, but actually keeping it here? Have we had those talks, or as a part of that committee, can we make sure that those talks are, because I would feel more comfortable if they may say, we're out of the additional revenue that's going to be raised, we'll give the city of Selma 40 cents. I mean, we have more gas stations in the city of Selma than they have throughout the county almost. And so I would like to have that conversation, because I want to try to ensure that we have looked at all other mechanisms before we go and raise the tax, and we send our businesses outside of our county, and it has an adverse impact on us. So
I will add to that, Councilwoman Jackson. As a former state legislator, the money that is earmarked towards county, the county can't give that money up. For example, if you recall the A-Trip project, which I was a co-sponsor of that bill, we got Medical Center Parkway repaid, we just got Borky parts of Summerfield repaid. That was the bill that came out of my committee, and those bills was only targeted for city, well, for state streets that came through cities. So they won't give us money outside of that. If they give us some, it'll probably be a fraction of that 10%, which means it might be like 25, one-fourth of a penny, which ain't gonna be sufficient enough for us to do what we need to do inside the city of Selma. So yes, I think we should have the conversation with the county, but the conversation we should have with the county is that Selma falls inside the county. The county already should be helping us with some of these streets. That's the conversation I think we should have with them.
I think that's, maybe I didn't articulate it correctly, but the city of Selma resides in the county, and we should be partnering on this matter, and that's what I was trying to articulate. But thank you so much for coming and expressing this.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman Jackson. Councilwoman Thomas.
Yes, maybe just, you just made a statement, you said about Boynton. You did not complete Boynton, you did a portion of Boynton.
Right.
Boynton could start from Chestnut Boulevard all the way to
Yes, ma'am.
Across.
Yes,
but Boynton got like the end of Boynton and coming all the way down. This is where we have a serious problem with, right?
Right.
I see where you have here that I was looking at. Two things I want to ask you about. I see where you say you completed your brownfield.
But that's part of my report. I haven't got to that yet.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'll wait.
Yes, ma'am.
I have two things I want.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I wanted to talk about it.
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Any other questions as it relates to the gas tax? Okay, any other questions? Okay, ma'am.
Also, as you know, we have these new trash trucks that we have inside the city of Selma, which costs us roughly 100 and, please forgive me, I forgot to introduce our new city attorney. I'm sorry, please forgive me. I started talking about Jimmy, got excited about that. Council, if you're not aware, I appointed Woodruff Jones as the new city attorney, and Mr. Harry Gamble will help him as we maneuver. He's a guy of great wisdom, and so I need help from Harry, and we didn't need help from Harry. But I wanted to make sure that I acknowledge that tonight during the council meeting. It just slipped my mind while I was talking about these other things and started talking about Jimmy and Larry Friday leaving us. So I just wanted to bring it to y'all's attention.
Okay. Councilwoman Jackson, then Councilwoman Bennett.
Well, you know I'm excited about you coming aboard. However, I thought that was a contract.
No, he's put him as an employee.
So you're going to work with us full time?
It's not full-time. Yeah, we talked to, I'd rather it be a contract, but the way we can do it is he can appoint me as an employee, and it would be part-time. And we talked to the league a couple times about it in the bar, and that is the way you can do it that way. I'd rather it be a contract and it be the whole firm, but we can do it either way. So, does that answer your question?
It does, but it does bring you more questions.
Sure, sure.
And you know I'm in support of you being with us.
Sure.
I thought that when we got our email and I hadn't received an update to say it changed. And so I would need to know at what amount that you were appointed to this position.
Right.
How does it fit in our budget? All those things.
Right.
Are you
I'm
linked to any
I think
actual benefits and things of that sort? I mean, I just, this was, did anybody else know?
You asking some of my questions, keep asking.
Because I'm just, and you know,
Sure,
I've already spoken
we've
to
talked,
you. You're a man of integrity and definitely
I would not get,
and I want you on board.
I would not get any benefits like that, no.
No benefits.
And so, I don't have the letter in front of me, but whatever's in that letter that you guys got, that dictates it.
Email it, because the last letter I got was actually that you were going to be a contract worker, and we spoke after that. You were coming on board as a contract, and I thought the amount was 69 or something. I just didn't know it was position. And I thought that the initial retainer was going to be 25. So I guess maybe I was confused by the.
It would be so it's an hourly rate, just like a employee would get. Outside of the retainer of $2,000 a month.
Excuse me, say that again?
It would be $200 an hour, and then the retainer would be $2,000 a month for me. Yeah, and that would be obviously be applied to the $2,000 a month.
Not to exceed the $69,000 that was already budgeted for.
So, wait, let me see. So it was budgeted for 69,000?
Yes, that's how much city attorney salary was.
Right, but he was here for 3 months. 3 months, so he was here the first quarter, and so we're still going to budget that amount when he's already used some of those funds?
If we do the math, off the retainer, it's roughly $24,000 a year, which is not even close to the 69. The 200, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, applies to things outside the normal scope of city government, i.e., for example, they're helping with the St. James Hotel. That's where that $200 an hour will come in.
I mean, we were already contracting with him for the St. James.
I'm just saying, I'll just give you an example of a project outside the normal operations of the council. You can speak more to that.
I think it all would be $200 an hour, not outside the retainer, and we bill against the retainer.
Right.
Is what.
So, I guess what I'm asking is what amount have we appointed? You worked every penny, but I'm wanting to know.
$200 an hour.
Right, I'm wanting to know the amount that was in the letter, and I'm mad at my computer right now because I'm going to upload and I'm only 10% complete. But I want to know, based on the last letter that I read about the appointment of a contract position, it was, excuse me? position, right?
Yeah.
But I got my contract, but it's still, it's doing an update. But, what I'm actually wanting to know, if we've budgeted $69,000 for that position, and then we're gonna pay you $69,000 for the position for.
You're not gonna pay me $69,000.
So we're not going to pay you, so it's not really an employment position, it's really a contract.
Well, I would rather do it as a contract, but the way we're doing this is an employee.
Why didn't you come on as a contract? Is it because you have to come before the council to?
If you guys want to vote for the firm to come on as a contract, I would rather do it that way.
And I would support that 100%.
Yeah.
And I would support it.
I'd rather do it that way, yeah.
I think that's.
That would be a lot cleaner, that would be cleaner for me, and
Right.
I'd much rather do it that way.
This is
Yeah.
really muddy and kind of
Yeah.
little, I don't really agree with it.
We got Councilwoman Gandy, then Councilman Short.
So your final question, her final question helped me out. So you'd rather be under contract?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, because
I know you would.
Councilwoman Benjamin, go ahead and finish up.
So you, because this has been tossed around, I need to ask you this. You are representing the mayor and the council, or just the mayor?
No, the city.
The entire city?
It's the city.
Okay, you know why I asked that, right?
Correct.
Okay, I'm glad that you do.
And that was in my letter to y'all. Yes. Right? I saw that, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I made that
well,
really
some,
clear.
yes.
Extremely clear.
Okay, yeah, okay, some of us have just been slothful, so we're asking you now.
Yeah.
$200 an hour, period, right?
Period.
And up to 69,000,
Correct.
up to.
I don't expect it to be that, but that's right, yeah.
Okay, but
Because that's my understanding what it's budgeted for. That's what I'm thinking.
I got you.
I just,
Thank you.
Anything else, Councilwoman Benjamin?
No, Mr. President, not right now.
Councilman Short?
I will not support a contract. If you go back and look at the history of contracting attorneys, the last time this city had a contracting attorney, we was paying $250,000 a year. Not saying that's gonna be your cost. I think this is the way to go, with a budget that has been budgeted for legal, with a promise not to exceed that. And with an open-ended contract, meaning it can be terminated at any time between you and the city. So I'm not gonna support a contract term. As a matter of fact, Mr. President, I think my colleagues got attest to this. When we went to the Alabama League of Municipalities, in our first year, the question was asked, of 700 elected officials, how many of you officials in here got a contract on staff, or your contractor? Everybody but Selma raised their hand. They said, Selma, y'all the smartest people in this room. And I would recommend that every city get an attorney on staff. So the way they're doing it, colleagues, Mr. Jones would be on our staff. And I would rather for it to be that way rather than contract.
All right. I see Councilman Randolph, then Councilman Bowling, then Councilman West.
Yeah, I was just, I kind of agree with my colleague because I remember when I first came on the council, I looked at some of our prior attorneys. It was outrageous, but if you saying that you're not gonna go over the 69,000, I'm for it. Up to 69,000, so it won't be a problem. But it won't be a problem with me because I like you too. Just on my little league baseball team, we're going to city championship.
Well, I wasn't very good. You would like
it. So, but like I said, colleagues, if we stay at that 69,000, I don't have a problem. Not over, Like I said, too much, and then where are we? That's a question we just gonna have to work out, Mr. President, this is no putting.
Councilman Bowling, then Councilman.
Attorney, you mentioned that you would prefer a contract, and I never really heard the explanation as to why, other than it sounded like you'd just be a cleaner
It would be cleaner
way for you to
Right.
be appointed in this position or be hired in this position, just to keep
Yeah.
it where it's unilateral, and that the mayor has made this decision to appoint you, and the city council has voted to confirm that, which would show that we're all working together on the same page. You represent all of us equally as.
We want to help, and we want to be there for the city, and I want everybody on board. And with the contract, and I understand that the councilman was concerned. I mean, that means everybody's on board. It's voted. And you also get the firm with the contract.
Right.
As an employee, it's just me. If it's a contract, you've been in contract with the firm, and we could still limit it to the 69,000. We could still do that. And you could still terminate it within reasonable notice, and we could still terminate it within reasonable notice. So it could be very similar to it. But that's really the main reason why I want to do it that way.
Well, I can respect that. I think we should all be able to respect that. Mr. Gamble?
Could I speak to that just a minute? Because, first of all, back to what you said before, if there's conflict between the mayor and the city council, we back off, because we got to represent the whole city. We're not going to be involved.
Yes, sir.
But I think that Councilman LaShaw is referring to the times when Henry Pitts was the attorney. And I represented the insurance companies. I represented the insurance company. We were trying all the cases for the city. Mr. Smitherman preferred Mr. Pitts to handle all the cases, so he self-insured and got rid of the insurance company. Now, if we were trying all the cases that were filed against the city and you didn't have an insurance company, we would run up a couple of $100,000, maybe not that much, but because what you've got now is an insurance lawyer handling all those litigation cases, so we wouldn't anticipate anywhere close to probably won't reach the 69,000. But another point is that, like somebody was saying, when you get specialized work like this St. James project that we may someday get paid for, then you need specialized counsel. And I think our firm has the ability to handle some things that an in-house counsel couldn't do. Demopolis does it this way, Greenville does it this way. Most of the smaller towns do it with a contract.
Cool. Well, I greatly appreciate that vantage point. I think it also needs to be considered, because again, it's to clean it up, make it clean, and keep it clean. And I think in order to ensure that we move forward accordingly and to your wishes, I don't have any problem doing a contract in regards to the aforementioned information being inherited, termination time, limited time on pay, and those kind of things, $2,000 retainer, $200 an hour, up to that point. So that makes sense to me, and I think it just keeps it nice and clean. And if that's a preference that the firm would like to have, then I think we should have that in consideration for y'all to come up with us. Again, I don't think it's going to change much in the scope of the agreement. Maybe I'm wrong there, but obviously you guys can go through there. But I would support it because our attorney supports it. So I would think it'd be a good idea to look at a contract just to keep it clean.
Councilwoman Jackson.
I concur with Councilman Boleen, and I guess that was my initial moment of haze, needing clarity, because you all have always represented us very well. Since the moment I came onto the council, you were working with us regarding the St. James and other issues. You have never billed us for overbilled us. Actually, you've taken on things that you shouldn't have. You should have billed us, and you said because of our love for this city, we won't. You all are men of integrity and you have great experience, and I think having the entire firm to represent us would put this Selma in its best position. So I would hope that you would like it clean. Yeah. I think the city would like it clean, and I think that your reputation in Gamble & Gamble speak for itself with the way that you've handled things the last few years while I've been on council, and probably previously with other councils, that this is a aha moment. This is a moment that we need to say, together we need to move forward on this, because we're getting the cream of the crop, and we got a man with integrity. I mean, you said it here tonight. I think it's cleaner. I think it's more appropriate, essentially, is what you were saying, to have the full body at council and mayor both elected bodies to say, come together on one accord and say, we want you, because I'm a representative of the city. I think that is something we should do if the mayor so leans, if it's the council will. I think that we should do that and show a vote of unity for this firm here tonight.
There's no person I would rather have represent us legally than you, Woody. Got nothing to do with integrity, got nothing to do with nothing. It's about business, it's about money. I think the way to go is what you and the mayor had already talked about doing it. However, it would be dependent upon the vote of this council as to which way we would go. I stand against contracting. I think we would have more leverage with the way it was outlined with the agreement that you and the mayor had. But once again, it has nothing to do with your integrity. I know you're going to be, your firm is going to be fair with us. You already proven that, especially with this St. James. And I know there's a tremendous amount of time that you guys have extended and you have not been compensated. And for that, I thank you. Once again, it is about business of the city. I think contracting is the worst way for us to go.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Go ahead.
Ms. Woodard, now, you know, there's 8 ward and 9, Mr. President, of each citywide. Every council have issues in their ward. And one of my biggest issues was the compress and the abandoned buildings that take time to get the clearance before I get the buildings torn down. Now, as I call you and want to discuss these issues, the clock is ticking.
Correct.
And so that means that if I talk to you and going over the, just say the compress, and I'm still trying to get that taken care of. So, and just say I'll talk to you 8 to 10 hours this particular week. So we talking about $200 per hour. $200 per hour, right?
Right. Regardless of if
that's what I'm saying. 200 per hour. No, I said 200. I thought it was 200 per hour. So what we're saying is that 69,000 can easily go pretty quickly, especially with all those cars. Because I know I got a lot of issues that need to be dealt with in Ward 8.
I would hope it wouldn't go that quickly. Yeah. I haven't. You're right. I mean, I haven't dealt with you day to day like that. But right. I would hope it doesn't go that quickly.
Right, but we got some issues I know we need to deal with. I think a lot of them, Jimmy got an opportunity to solve a lot of them before he left. Right. I think we still got a few that hadn't been solved yet. But one thing I hope that this council will do will get with the mayor or President Bowie before we start making these phone calls. Because once we start calling you, the clock is ticking. Yeah. And I mean, we need to know that as a body when to call and when not to call. Because we need to give President Bowie need to be able to let us know and we'll deal with that.
I think all y'all would be welcome to call me, but I think that's a good idea to go through President Bowie and let him call me. It'd be a lot more efficient.
Correct, and that makes more sense, because that 200.
I like efficiency.
That's right.
Yes,
chickens, that's right.
Councilwoman Jackson, sometime I think Councilwoman Johnson.
The $200 per hour. If you're an employee, are we still paying $200 per hour? So it's $200 per hour, whether you're a contract or whether you're an employee. It's just a C and an E. It's really the difference. I mean.
Okay.
The last question.
Councilwoman Thomas, then Councilman Johnson.
Oh.
Okay, Matt Mark.
Woody, I just want to ask you this here because I'm more of a research. You know, like sometimes I'm on the Melissa Law or something like that. If I want to ask something, normally like I did with Attorney Nunn. Will you be able to, if I call Corey or let him know that I want something that I want to talk about?
Sure.
That's all I want.
Thank you. We're not going to pay double, right?
No, it's not. It's just a follow up on the right, it's my time now. I said, now, I just asked you, that's my question. That's the only question that I have from you. Because when I do things, I like to do it accordingly, and I want to make sure that it falls within that. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Johnson.
I'm asking this for in your days when you got started in being an attorney, what was your rate at that particular time?
When I first started?
Yes.
Sometimes I didn't get paid anything.
Probably 25 cents in the back of bill.
No, I mean, well, gosh, with inflation and all that, when I first started, I was in the United States Air Force. They paid me $300 a month. But rates are $200 for our firm is cheaper than.
No, I understand that. I'm gonna tell you why I asked that. Because the cost of living is steadily going up. It's going up. We are council people got to see this. We cannot continue on running this city at what we at now, when we need more funding. It's like this young man back there want $300 an hour. The cost of living is steadily going up. See, I asked that because if you were starting out like $100 or $50 an hour back in the day, and you're going up to $200 to $300 an hour now, cost of living is steadily going up. I'm not knocking that, but I just want the council to know that we can't continue on operating on this same low budget that we're working on. Because cost of living is steadily going up.
That's true, but right now, with a full in-house attorney like Attorney Nunn, you were paying not only salary, you're paying pension plan, you're paying health insurance, you're paying a secretary,
Correct.
you're paying for copy work, you're paying for.
It's more than $69,000.
That's right. I agree. I agree.
It's a lot more than $69,000.
I totally understand. I agree. I'm just trying to show an example that the cost of living is steadily going up, and the city got to go along with the program. That's what I meant. Because we can't continue on paying these fees, and our budget is kind of down.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, any other questions? All right, man.
So I assume the council is, y'all gonna vote on that, or you fine with how things are? I just wanna make sure so I can be clear on how we're moving forward.
I'd like to make a move to remove that, would it be, an employee of the city as the first one was presented, and then we move forward with the, agreement that was set forth in the correspondence sent out by the mayor.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. Any further
Yes,
discussion?
it's further discussion.
Okay, Councilwoman Jackson.
Do we generally have to vote on
No.
his appointments? So is that even necessary unless it's the mayor's appointment? We don't have to vote on it.
No.
So I don't think that's necessary.
We
don't vote.
But
if you
Just do a contract. I guess you just want to know.
I didn't know if the council wanted to enter into a contract with the whole firm, and if so, a contract would have to be drafted by the firm for you to put in the
come back
contract
for
with
the
you.
meeting.
I didn't know, that's why I just want to make sure we move past this issue right here. Just
Yeah,
wanna make
Bring back the contract.
Bring the contract.
Okay. All right, man.
Thank you, council.
Trying to beat the clock.
Before, what time? Pay to you.
Councilman Short,
You withdrew his motion.
motion and,
I second.
Councilman.
I withdraw. All right.
All right, man.
As you see, item number 4 on here, we have pay to throw. And again, I'm not asking the council to vote on this evening. In your package, you can see I have a chart on how it works in other cities, and that's dealing with the trash truck. And I'm asking you to sign that to either the administrative committee or the public works committee. I'm not sure what committee that's called in.
Bags, we've talked about this before.
Right, so I'm not sure, Mr. President, it should go in the administrative committee or the public works committee, but if you can sign that to one of those committees for us to come back before the whole council with a recommendation.
Deputy Public Works, we're saying.
And thank you, Mr. President. And Mr. Mayor, while we're on these two, could we put in, would it be appropriate, do y'all think, to put in this, about the, can't say, I swear I'm getting demented. My dementia's getting worse. I haven't been diagnosed with dementia, I'm just saying that, but I probably did. The composting that we had talked about doing and getting because we can get the chipper for $7,000 from Ricky Shelby and all that. And that will save a lot of money, and could be a possible funding stream, and could we blend that in with this? Because we're talking about saving money and doing all that stuff. Would that be appropriate?
I think it'd be very appropriate, but I'm not sure if that's go to the administrative committee or the public works committee, because it would be a new service we offering. So I'm not sure what committee that the council would like, but I think it's definitely part of the conversation.
Okay. I need to talk to Councilman LaShore about something else public works related anyway, so I'll get with him about that. Thank you.
Also, I have before you an item number 5 about bringing the city up to date with surrounding cities and revisit our business license and our building inspectors. Inside your package, I have charts broken down to you on what other cities are paying, we're charging, and what we are charging. And if you can look through that package, you can see we are beneath every city that surrounds us, or cities that's our size. So with that one, I guess that would have to be assigned again, I guess, to the administrative committee, since it's dealing with administration day-to-day operations.
We'll do that finance.
Finance, okay, finance.
Mr. President. Mr. Mayor, now I see you got the city of Selma, current license fee is $55. Now, and normal just for the first year, right? Now, because see, after the second year, you have to turn in your gross income. Because my license sometimes be $400 or $500 a year. So this 55 basically, I think, is just for your first initiative when you open your business. But after your second year, third year, you're supposed to turn in your income.
Well, it's a flat fee. If you look at Pritchard, and I know we're going to put that to the committee, Pritchard charges a $300 flat fee on top of the gross.
Okay.
Which I think Pritchard's a class 5 municipality just like us. I think they're doing a great job in doing that. Or if we're going to have a flat fee just across the board, either or, and that's why I think we need to revisit.
That's good. Now, as long as we just, I just didn't want to stick with 55.
Right, exactly.
Okay, we're good with that.
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly.
Councilwoman Thomas?
When you say Pritchard, you're basing on Pritchard and Mobile, how they operate with their database?
Well, there's several different cities in there. I was just saying that as an example. Pritchard, that's one way that they do it. Other cities do it other way. I was just pointing out, since we're class 5, just like Pritchard, and I was just saying that's why they include in that package. I was just giving an example. Not saying that we have to do what Pritchard does.
I hear what you're saying. I was looking at the way too, like other towns, their fees and things.
Right.
Then when I was hearing you saying how Pritchard operates.
Right. Yes, exactly. Yes, ma'am. So we're going to sign it to the Finance Committee?
Yes, sir.
The 6th thing I have on the agenda is the need for new equipment, capital equipment in our fire department and our police department and public works department. And of course, we talked about the USDA grant / small loan before, and if that can be assigned, I think Councilman Randolph is over the capital equipment committee, if that can be assigned to this committee.
What is it, a problem I have someone from USDA here?
We would love, let's have Naja Gordon.
Yeah.
If you can have Naja Gordon here.
I have no speed there.
Okay, that'd be great.
You didn't get the confidence.
You don't have, no, it went in the thing. It's just, I get that USDA.
Okay, for the next meeting then. Councilman Randolph.
The 7th thing we have on this update from the Brownsfield testing. We tested 17 sites. You should have that inside your package.
What about public building fees and cemetery?
Number 7.
Oh, I'm sorry, my agenda, had to go ahead and edit my agenda. Public building fees, also those fees need to be revisited. We talk about public buildings all the time. There's great need to repair, to sustain our buildings, and I would love, President of the Council, if that can be assigned to Councilwoman Thomas committee to view the fee structure that we have set up for public buildings right now, to see if that's adequate for our city, and if so, that's fine. If not, just make changes to it. So we can discuss that in your committee.
Councilman Bowman.
Councilwoman Benjamin, we were looking at selling the property, the excess property the city owned at one point or another, and I know obviously you're no longer the chair there, Ms. Thomas is now the chair. Are we,
I'm still gonna handle that part.
Okay, so we're still planning to move forward with that at some point?
Yeah, I just need that packet back from y'all.
I didn't have anything I could sell, so I'm good on here.
Okay.
All mine's.
Okay, so just text me and say nothing for Ward 1.
Okay. Yeah, because I think ultimately we
Let me know.
move some of this property and diminish our expenses by not having to take care of so much property, and get that back onto the tax roster, so we're making property taxes and things like that.
Absolutely.
Have we had any movement, or are we aware of any movement on some of the other things we're working on regarding incentivization? Is that something that's kind of been on hold, or are we still trying to move forward on some of that?
Incentivize.
On the travel corridors coming in and out of town, we talked about that once before, I think, with the next site coming in, and looking, I think the deal that took place at Moore Stewart was one of those places we were looking at maybe trying to guinea pig to a certain extent as far as providing some local incentives for those who want to move in and do
Correct.
retail here in our community?
Correct. We do have a package that we can give to the finance committee. Since you brought it up, and I wish I would put it on the agenda, we still have to execute on the 727
Right.
that we talked with Long Lewis about. They announced they're open, but the attorneys are still working through that.
Okay. We voted to move that around, and there was some miscommunication on, between council and mayors.
Right,
when that
and
happened.
with the probate judge moving,
Right.
yeah, all that.
It's kind of a messy situation.
It got messy, but definitely, it's a package that we have. We'd love to give it to the finance committee for you all to peruse.
That's gonna include a public hearing too, isn't it?
Right, have to have a public hearing. And to add to the conversation about land that the city, or buildings the city no longer use, I think also we were talking, Councilman Randolph committee about cars and vehicles, capital equipment, we maybe can also surplus that as well.
Mayor,
Councilwoman Bennett.
do you have a list, an updated list, Mayor? We have a list about a year ago. Do you have an updated list of, the surplus?
Surplus. I would have to get with the clerk, Madam Clerk, and we'll see what the list is. I'm not sure what list we gave a year ago, so we have to check and see.
I think it was about a year ago.
Okay.
I think it was requested by Councilwoman Thomas, capital equipment, the list. You gave us that list, and I wanted to know if there was an update from that particular one. If so.
We have one. I'll give you the one we have, we can compare.
Okay, yeah. And
We'll do that.
if so, I'll add that on.
Okay,
Okay, cemetery fees. We've done a comparison with cemetery fees, private cemetery fees in the city and surrounding cities, what they are, the cost for burial and graveyard plots. And I think we should revisit that. And I guess that one had to go to, I guess, the administration committee or President Woodward committee to see feeling for that. I definitely think we need to revisit that.
Councilwoman, that's all,
Yeah, that's city property.
Councilwoman Thomas.
That falls, it falls upon
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I just know what committee.
You ever thought about getting out of cemetery list?
The issue I guess we're talking about the committee, but I think one of the issues we have, we don't have land space right now in the existing cemeteries we have to make it attractive for any private owner to want to have it, because it's about revenue for them, the bottom line. I wish we had not gotten into the cemetery business years ago, but since the city ended, we got to find a way to sustain that department. So now on to the Brownsfield. If you see in your package that I handed out, you have an update on the Brownsfield testing. There was 17 sites, which we completed with phase 1. Phase 1 was basically the environmental testing to see whether there's any petroleum or gasoline on those sites. Now we're working to see phase 2 to determine the eligibility for cleanup. And that's included those sites, those 17 sites that was shared by many of you. It's included in the package that we gave you. And that's just one. Do you all want me to go through all that, or was just looking at this?
I just need to know this significance of shaded and not shaded areas.
Say that again?
Is there any significance for the area that's shaded and not shaded?
No. No, they just when they printed out that way, or it was placed in the computer, it came out that way from what ppm.
That's correct.
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas.
While we're on this here, you know I've been waiting for this. Waiting to get you and Henry vote together. Because it's very important to me.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, I received a study it's in my ward on the junkyard.
On the Brownfield study.
Brownfield.
That's right.
And you know you got your report on the Brownfield
Yes,
study.
ma'am.
And you know that there are some problems.
Yes, ma'am.
And I want to make sure, because you know why? Because that is my community where I live at over there.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's an area where I have a school at, and it's an area where it's open. You have no fence up, you have nothing. I've been trying to clean it up. And in this test you got back, you know there's something that has to be done.
That's why we're on phase 2 now, trying to apply for money to clean it up.
Okay.
So that's where we are now, phase 2.
So you are?
We're working on it. EPM and Planning Development Department, we're working on trying to get money for cleanup. Phase 1 was money, initial money to do the testing. Phase 2, we had to apply for additional money to do the cleanup. Cleanup usually costs more than the testing costs.
Okay. First of all, number one, I really want you to take care of this because this is it's a healthy.
Why is it healthy?
Because, you know why? Because it's it's open. And in the surrounding of this area, you have people live in this neighborhood. They're in the middle of this. And you have children that's in this community that goes out there in this open.
So are you asking, can we some kind of way fence it in until the cleanup comes?
Yes,
I'm
I
not
need
sure. That would be something the council would have to provide funding for. I'm not sure.
No. This is what I'm saying.
Right.
I know that, but I'm talking to, because the city bought this.
Correct.
This is the city property.
For the playground, correct?
No, you didn't
Not
buy
the
it
playground.
for
Okay.
No, the
Yes,
past
property.
administration bought it.
But you have some property for the playground. Is that the same area?
No. That is the property that the past administration that was
Okay.
council person.
The old junkyard.
Yes.
Yes.
And in the future, we need to, when we buy city buy property, we need to have the property tested because it was a lot of money spent on this property.
Yes.
It was a lot of money spent that it was not tested. It was not tested.
But now we own the property. We can't, change what happened back previous administration. So let's see what we can do.
Yeah, but I'm looking out for the future of my community.
Right.
It's the future of the children. It's the future of the people that lives in this neighborhood.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we are valued. Where people live there, we've been living there for years. And people have been out there in there. And testing have not been done. It was the first test that was done.
Right, but we're starting the process now. If you could just be patient with us.
I'm patient.
Trying to see can we get funding to clean it up, and we'll make sure we keep you abreast of that because that's in your community anyway.
Because the principal is concerned too.
We just as concerned as you and the school system because it impacts not just your ward, it impacts all itself. It impacts all, but particularly the people that stay right there next to it.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mayor, since we have Mr. Thompson here, I want to ask a question about Queen Street Baptist Church.
Good question.
The last time I talked to you, I think you was in the process of getting tested for asbestos. Have we completed that yet?
Yes, that's correct. No, it hasn't. The government is currently on shutdown, so nothing currently is moving in the next phase of the projects, but all of the initial testing is done, and basically what we have now with the environmental, you have a process of eligibility based on the property, and some of the guidelines that you go under when you're doing that is how the city came about the property, whether it was donated, and all of those tend to play factors on whether or not it will be approved based under that type of pretenses.
Did you have a conversation with the mayor about the capability of the city to remove the structure?
Yes, we've been working on, ultimately regarding that piece, what we're doing is a phase 2 eligibility based on the asbestos or any dangerous chemicals within the access of the area. Once that is found out, then we will go on and basically go from there in regards to either weed abatement or some process of that nature to where it will basically go. It's kind of similar to the area that you have in your ward, in the process and what's going on with that in regards to human safety issues.
I know you and I have talked about the probability or possibilities, something that come into reality that there may be fallback position was to put a fence around the structure. Did you ever get an estimate of what the fence cost would be?
We didn't get an estimate because ultimately, being that it's private property, they have to kind of give us authorization to do that, which I'm pretty sure that they are going to be willing to do that. But ultimately, the way from a safety standpoint, it would at least keep everything in from a standpoint of kids going over there and playing in it and falling through or some kind of danger.
When the city declared an emergency, then was it going to go and take residents and protection of the citizen, and therefore that fence can be put around the church?
That's a good question, but I'm not sure, but I could do some research on it and find out.
Mr. Turner, I'm gonna put you in the
Am I on the clock?
No.
In theory, you don't have a contract.
Just in case, we pay $250 tonight.
So that's the free. You got the appointment power, you appointed him as our attorney. So
You're on the clock right now.
until this council changes.
Yeah, he on the clock right now.
He is our attorney. Am I correct?
That's right.
We'll see if we can answer it. What's the
To find
question?
out whether or not the city can declare eminent domain because it's an emergency for the safety of the citizens. That way, if we are, and if we don't, able to get the resources that we need, then we can put the fence around them to keep the resident out of that area, which will bring shots and problems for the city.
I don't think you can, but I'll look at it. Yeah.
That's a slippery slope there. It's a problem. Councilwoman Benjamin and Councilman Johnson.
I thank Councilwoman Benjamin is waiting for Mr. Thompson.
Just wait for them to be released.
I'm sorry.
I almost call you Mayor Thompson. We've been saying Mayor all night. Mr. Thompson, I'd like to move forward on the corner of, you have on the third one on here, Marie Foster and First Avenue. I'd like to go ahead and move forward. I was able to get a hold of, as you are aware, the Environmental Protection Agency before the shutdown, and they were gracious enough to give me an abundance of information and saying that I could move forward or not. Has anything, I see that the testing has been completed now, has anything changed since then that you might be aware of?
No,
that I might not be aware of?
I actually did go out and look at the markers out there. You can tell where the underground areas are still on that area, but from my standpoint, what they said, it won't affect your ability to move forward, even though they're still doing that testing currently.
Mayor, do you mind if Mr. Thompson and I send just a follow-up email to say, just to regurgitate information, say, thank you for
EPA?
Thank you for speaking with us and outline what they said back to me.
I think that's great. I think one thing you got to add, we talked with PPM, and from my understanding, it's the Alabama gasoline. They have a fund that will actually help.
It's under a fund.
It's under a fund already. That money should be available to help. That doesn't have to come. I guess I'll get back to PPM. I forgot the fund he said, but it's actually, he said they can move forward with funding from the state that already they have available for from the state.
I like funding. Would you put that in a letter? Does that need to be from
Yeah, we can get that because it's still being funded through ADM currently under those tankers, and I know the lady mentioned that when we were on the phone as well regarding that, but it won't really stop you from proceeding on with your project.
Okay, so I will get with you concerning your schedule so that we can go ahead and start this process.
Yes, once we can get something in writing.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Councilman Johnson, I'm sorry.
Okay, Mr. Thompson.
Yes, sir.
You know, we've been working on the old county yard on the corner of Plant and Hardy.
Yes.
And we don't officially own that property at this moment, which
Yes.
they want to give it to us for $1, but we
Yes.
don't want to accept it yet, knowing that it may take hundreds of
Yes.
thousands of dollars to clean it up.
Yes.
So where we at now? What does it look like?
We're going to eligibility now. Basically, they sent us back the report on that property, and there were some things that were found in regards to it. But the good thing about it is it's coming from a municipality, so it's definitely eligible for funding. It's basically now we just have to do the application and get it approved to move to the next phase in regards to that, and that process has already started.
So we don't need to purchase it yet for
No,
$1 yet?
no, let's not purchase it yet until we can figure out, and that's the beauty of it, we can still work towards getting it because it's owned by government basically, so we can still work towards getting it cleaned and preparing to move forward on it at a later time.
Okay. Let me ask you a question like you.
Go ahead.
Okay, you know, the fish pond, it may be a little different.
Yes.
But it's corrosion around the fish pond.
Yes.
If we got some in working to get that cleared up, I think I talked to Mr. Van Dijk about draining the fish pond. Because that eventually gonna have to be dealt with, because what happens is the sidewalks gonna eventually gonna cave in into the pond if we don't do something soon. So please look into that. And
I will as well. And I will also speak with the DECA in regards to that, because a lot of times, you know, once the property is under those grant stipulations, there may be a possibility of some funding that they may be willing to participate in helping us in facilitating that.
Right. That's the only problem we got. We need to
because I know that they still come out and do observations of it now, and we're going to find out when it's open and whether or not it's being actually utilized for what it is actually being used for. So I will make that phone call to ADECA and see what we can go come with on that end. And outside of that, there are going to have to be some counter methods put in place to make sure that we can protect those areas like that, or put some funding aside to actually uphold that, because it has a pump in there as well. Right. I'm sure it's not going to last forever. Right. So I think being proactive and kind of finding a way to look into these things prior to that time, it would give us a lot of help.
Because it's not, eventually that sidewalk will make cave wild.
That's correct, as well as the gazebo.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah, so I think we definitely need to start addressing that.
Thank you so much.
Councilman, Councilwoman Jackson and Councilwoman.
I just, not you, Mr. Thompson, but actually the mayor, I know you have the authority, because the council hasn't moved in the contract to put Mr. Attorney Jones to work tonight, but I respectfully ask that you don't, and we follow the process that was laid out tonight in sending it to our president and letting him send it, because if that's the case, he may be paying $400 or $500 just tonight, $600, $800. You may get out here tonight, so we don't want to do that. No, we want to do it the right way and send it to our president and have him do it. And because when we spoke, that's one of the things that you said, that you would not be coming to council meetings and doing those type of things, because we don't want to pay $200 for you to sit here and listen to us go back and forth on city business, but we want you to be efficient, and we want to be financially responsible. So I know that you don't have to do it. Can you give us another freebie tonight? Or give us half cost or something? Let's work that out.
President, Councilman, sure. You know, to add to that, if you look at the date of the correspondence, he's already an employee of the city with the mayor's appointment authority as our attorney. So,
so we're paying $200 an hour tonight for him to sit here.
He's been appointed by the mayor by his
That's
authority.
great use of funding.
Once again, it's the mayor's authority. But getting back, Mr. Thompson, you guys involved in this conversation, I want to follow up some questions with the brownfield testing.
Yes, sir.
Good Samaritan Hospital, Old American Candy Company.
Yes.
George Paint Body Shop, and the Old American Candy Company on the Bowling Street side. Where were those completion?
All of these have been, testing has been done in those areas. That portion over in that area is a part of our revitalization process, in which we're looking to revitalize that whole area, which I know the city was a part of the grant that was done to look into revitalizing that area. And I think it's advantageous for the city to do as much as we can for those areas, because it can be attractive to companies. It gives us an edge when it comes to wanting to get a manufacturer or something to move into that process, because that's something else that they don't have to pay for.
So you see on these four,
the first one, yes.
Okay. All right, man.
Thank you,
Dallas
Mr.
Academy Building, Vance Building.
Yes, the Dallas County Building, today, update on that. Today, contractors along with the insurance company, they did a walkthrough of that building. Several contractors came out, and bids will be submitted on January 31st. So we're waiting for those bids to be, those sealed bids to be submitted, and we'll be moving forward, trying to get that building back into this prime condition. Also, the Von Smithman building, money came in for the ACs. Something I want to talk with the council about. moving forward to reinstall those ACs with no employees being inside that building, I think we put ourselves in the same position again of those ACs being stolen, brand new ACs. But of course, I guess that'd be something that Councilwoman Thomas committee we want to discuss moving forward with reinstalling those ACs with no employees over there, or do we want to wait till we get employees back in there before we put all the equipment over there? At least during the daytime, we have someone there so it won't get stolen during that time.
Councilwoman Thomas.
Yes. I know that this, right now, so you did receive the insurance for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So,
but roughly $41,000 came in. 41,000 for the ACs at the bus student building.
Well, let me ask you this here too, since, you know, it's a lot of, you know, the city is here to make money. I know we have people laid off, and there's a lot of people that have been trying to, want to have, you know, have events there.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, like we have a lot of tourists that come through. And I was asked before, I asked President Bowie that the city we don't want to lose the money.
Correct.
And if, like, sometimes, like we did before, we had some people that had an event, and some of us volunteer our time. Which some might not have time, but, you know, like some of us, we do what we can to help our city. When an event is something that comes up that they want to have and it's going to help our city, is there any way that, we asked President Bowie to check into it, that we can be there with, you know, with them till they leave or something like that, till we start back to the employees come back?
I think the best thing for us to do is perhaps put that in committee with the administrative committee and President Boyd and us
well,
talk.
I asked Mr. Peak about that.
Right.
It could be a liability issue, and I'm waiting for him to email me his response.
Okay. I just don't want us to be, you know, we holler about we need money.
Right.
And revenue is coming our way, and when people want to use the city buildings, right, which are closed down, yes, they need to be open. And if we're gonna volunteer our time, you know, I just want to get, you know, a little bit.
Well, yeah, my concern was it could be a liability issue, and I'm just waiting for Mr. Pete to email me. That was one of the questions I did email him, inquiring about it.
Okay.
Okay. Councilman.
As far as reserving the buildings, for instance, I have an event coming up on the 8th of March, and I'd like to reserve the convention center. Would that be a problem, Mayor?
We have to give with Ms. Davis. They're only 2 people in that department right now trying to staff all these events. So check with her to see the availability of staffing. I think that's one of the issues that we've been having. Okay. Sometimes we might have 3 or 4 events going at the same time. It's only 2 people in that department right now. So.
And if I wanted to get my own cleaning staff and things like that to minimize the burden on a low staff, I guess the liability issue would be there, but inherently that would be something normally included in the price of doing a building anyway. For instance, with Black Belt Benefit Group, we've rented buildings before, brought in our own cleaning staff just to help kind of get the process up, which was not enough, obviously, but we did the best we could to get it as clean as we could. So,
I think to add to that, one thing we may need to revisit is the contract that we have for those buildings, and if the council's position is to make the contracts more flexible, I think that it may be something to consider. But until we actually put in a contract, I think it may.
To add in a cleaning cost, if that would be independent of the actual facility, yes, rental itself. Yes. So there's a mechanism there to make sure the building's returned back to the city in the way that was received.
Right, and I think it should be a retainer fee, and just in case people say, well, I'm going to clean up and come in.
Security, yeah, I agree. Like any other rental, you always pay a little bit up, just make sure it returns back the same way.
Well, definitely, I'm open to that. I would love to have that conversation.
Councilwoman Thomas.
Yes, Mayor, I would like to say this to you. Before we, I'm sort of like, I'm gonna believe in doing a random check of, you know, you said that you wanted to charge the fee, go up on the fee?
Well, I'm not saying, the fees might be fine. I just want us to make sure that we are monitoring those fees, making sure they are fees that we need to be charging for the wear and tear of the building. Because right now, currently, consistently over the last several years, we only been budgeting $85,000 for the maintenance of these buildings. And when you see these ACs go down, like for instance, an AC go down, that can be $10,000 to $15,000 that quickly. And I think we need to find a way to make sure those who are utilizing these public buildings are actually helping to maintain the public buildings, because all citizens don't utilize these public buildings. So I think it's a give and take somewhere there. I hope we can have that conversation in the community.
I have a question.
Councilwoman Jackson.
Is there a requirement that we actually have the building staffed? I know that since it's been closed and we've had an event, we were required to actually get our own insurance. We were given the keys to the venue. We were allowed to go in and then we turned the keys in. No one came and sat during the time of the event. And so I would like to explore those options rather than staffing and having someone there the entire time. And of course, some we would need to. Of course, we don't want to put the Smilderman building with all of the antiques and things that we have there. But the Evans building, I mean,
Part of the contract, that's what said we need to revisit that contract.
Right, and so I'm saying I would like to have that conversation, Ms. Thomas, Councilwoman Thomas, and put that as a part of it. And then we're not incurring the cost of insurance. They actually we had to go out and get insurance and bring it back. So if something is torn down, if we break something, you know, it's not on the city, and or someone break a leg or get in a fight, shooting or something happens, it's not all on the city and someone's trying to sue the city, but the actual, because we rented the venue, then we actually had to put insurance on it. And so I thought, wow, that's a great idea.
I think it'll be lovely for us to visit that and see what ways we can work around that.
Okay, let's do that.
Councilman Randolph?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I know that there's somebody be showing staff and different things like that. So do you have an idea when the employee is gonna come back, the 6 days?
I have that on my agenda tonight. We can discuss it if you don't mind when we get to that.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead,
Other update we have is a drainage project from DRA totaling $86,000. The engineer gonna run the bids on the 22nd. I think that's tomorrow. What day is 21st, 22nd?
Today's
Well, they ran today then. Bid opening set for February the 7th, 2019. Construction is to begin on March 2019, and the completion is expected June of 2019. And the location is the Lafayette subdivision in Ward 2. That's a drainage project. Also with Interpretive Center, DRA, we have a $100,000 project. The city is working with Goodwin Mills and Kaywood to develop an eligible scope of work for the project for the Interpretive Center. And again, we're waiting to hear back from the engineers, Goodwin Mills and Kaywood, to develop the scope of work. Final update on the CDBG projects. There's a list inside your package with several areas throughout the city to the tunes of $450,000. They will be doing some infrastructure work in your respective wards. Different wards have different projects going on. We are soon to apply for new CDBG money in the upcoming weeks. But I just want you to have an update on where we are with the projects that may be going on in your particular ward. There's a list of several projects inside your package.
Before we go any further, I would like to thank Mr. Thompson and his staff for processing these applications and being awarded these grants. So I just want to say thank you for this.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Mel, you said, you just read about the project that's gonna go in effect. It went on the 15th, and it's gonna end on the 11th of 2019.
Excuse me?
You just said that.
You talking about the drainage project?
Yes.
The drainage project, yes. Construction is going to begin in March of this year, and it's expected to be completed in June of this year. And it's the Lafayette subdivision in Ward 2, over next to the old Domino's. That's a drainage project.
Yeah, what you got on here?
I'm not sure what you're looking at.
I'm looking at the
This form
here. I have it on here.
City of Selma Special Projects, number 1 CDBG drainage.
Right. So I have mail signed. I signed the paperwork on the 15th. Okay. This is what this notes. It was signed on the 15th. And actually, the bids are out and we're gonna be doing, oh, this is the new ones that we're doing. Yes, it's just a new one. I just said we're gonna be applying for new monies from the CDBG. Community Development. We have money that we already received that we're gonna be doing the project. Every year the city can apply up to $450,000 worth of projects. And I was just updating you all, and you know, we are applying for new money that you all will decide on what areas we use that money for.
So this money should come in, this project should kick off around the.
We already have that money, but we're applying for new money too. So we got $450,000, but every year we apply. 450? Yes, it's in the package that you have. You got 7 different areas. Wait, it's right there, project locations. Right.
And so I think what you're saying is when we went out several months ago with the Gray Hogs, we actually got that award.
That's correct.
And we received that award?
Yes.
Okay, so we didn't, I guess she doesn't know because we
I didn't know you
didn't
were
receive the award.
I didn't know we were.
I didn't know y'all were out.
Councilman Thomas, finish, Councilman Randolph.
Can I finish?
Yes, that's why I said finish, please finish, and then Councilman Randolph.
The reason why I asked you this is because, see, that's the problem. We remember this here.
Yes, ma'am.
No one responded to us to this council that we have received this money. Because you know why? We have a lot of problems in my area, in other areas that are draining problems. You know, when it rains, it's hard rain, like we get 100% rain, start tonight and tomorrow. And in some areas, I just want to know, with this money, are you going to use this fund for this that we asked for?
I mean, we have no other choice but to use for that purpose. The engineer will be working with us. He actually carries out the whole project. We just sign off, verifying the project has been completed.
So when did we receive this?
I think it was around, I'll have to check, I don't want to give you the wrong date of when we actually received it, but we went to Montgomery and it was to meet with the governor in regards to getting it, but I'll let you know the actual date.
I think it was sometime in December, wasn't it?
It was somewhere in November.
November, okay, November, yes.
Thank you, so that'll give us a lot of hope, because we do need this work to we have a lot of water back.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
There's also a project that supposed to have took place on Bienville Street in the 2000 block and the 2100 block. Out of that money, the last grant money we had got for 2-point-something million.
That's the revolving loan.
Revolving loan.
Yes. Okay, but the work has not been done on Bienville Street at all. And so when it rains, just to let you know that there's something wrong with the system down there, because when it rains, sewage line bag up in everybody's house on Bienville.
So let us keep this with engineer, local engineer to see can.
Yeah. So at the end, where the sewage run from down to the end where Freedom Baptist Church is, there's a big cave in underground because something done wiped out all the dirt. And I'm afraid that a car gonna come through there and just fall in the ground.
What street that's on?
On 4th Avenue.
Okay.
4th Avenue at the corner of Bienville and 4th. They got barrels out there, but I seen some knuckleheads last night. If I had me a stick, I probably would beat the devil out of them. They moving the barrel so folk could drive down the street and run in the hole in their car. That was some low down mess. I seen the guys last night. And it wasn't no young boy. There's bigger kids out there moving the barrel. But it's next to the Freedom Baptist Church, right? And I want that stuff to continue, because who said it get wider and wider under the ground. It's like a 6-foot drop. I'm talking about a 6-foot drop.
4th and Union too.
Yeah, 4th and
all that stuff coming up.
Yeah, 4th and Union too. So
let me get with
yeah, but Ray know about it, but you know.
Let's follow with him tomorrow to see the schedule that he plans on into that, and I can give you an update on that.
Okay. Councilwoman Benjamin and Councilman.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
let me invite you to the work session so we won't do this next time.
That's why I'm actually putting the committee so I can come to the committees, and then we.
And guess what we should have said? 17 items going to committee. Thank you, Mayor. We have a few questions.
Well,
and then, that's a lot. So let's talk about work session next time in committees, and then just moving on from there, because I do have a question about area 2. Area 2 on the the projects, the projected projects.
Right.
Do you want us to go over this list, or have you had the experts go out and determine this list?
This, yeah, with this area too. When it's already determined by the engineer? Yes.
So it's already determined?
Yes.
Okay.
We're trying to get the most trouble areas in all the different wards, and try to see to make sure that each ward gets some of the trouble areas, and that's how I'm saying we've been doing it, you know, for the last several years.
Yeah, I have 2 troubled areas, so I'm glad one made it in, and I hope it is the correct area that made it in, so perhaps I can get with, is it Ray Hall?
Henry and Ray Hall.
Okay, I'll get with you all to make sure that area 2 is the correct area 2. Okay.
Could you give us an update on the timeline?
With the projects?
How soon those will be completed? Those are scheduled to be completed in October to around relatively November. Our timeline and basically those projects are based for us to wrap this up, be complete by February of next year so we can apply again in March to try to either continue or come up with some other ideas in regards to this. You know, it kind of takes me for a tough portion because this community development block grant, we're basically using our community development to basically relay our infrastructure. So it kind of is tough on that end, but this is what we have to do for the current time.
Okay, sorry, Councilman Johnson. Mr. Thompson, in order to apply for a Tiger grant,
yes,
we will have to include the county with that, am I correct?
Well, we applied for one a couple of months ago in regards to trying to get our streets and sidewalks redone. It wasn't successful, but
what's the qualifications for the Tiger grant?
Well, they don't really have match in it, but the amounts are so significant in regard to the projects that they are completed to.
1.2 million?
Yes, the major thing with the Tiger grants is when they're actually reviewing it, they want to see the city have their own skin in the game. They want you to be the one out and either spoken with the state or talk with the county in regard to getting buy-in to them doing the development of these projects. And our initial one we just did, we were hopeful and thought we had a shot at it, but it was our first initial one. And like I said, we're gonna keep continuing to do it. And hopefully we will eventually win, but a lot of times, it was only 2 given out in the state of Alabama. This current, and both of them were in North Alabama. But we're gonna be diligent and keep trying, and hopefully one day we can break through.
Okay, all right. Councilman Johnson and Councilman
Mayor,
yes, sir.
The contractor did an awesome job on the corner of Water Avenue and Plant for the drainage. But but the problem we're having is the trees and the leaves and all the debris falling. If we don't keep it clean, the water's still not flowing like it should. So, you know, I know you ride by sometimes. If you get a chance, you know, Mr. Van Dal, please address that. To look at it and see if we can get it cleaned out, especially when they get ready to start raining.
Part of that is with the suction truck that I guess with Councilman Randolph committee talked about being able to suck those areas out where the leaves are getting clogged up.
Right.
So it's an issue right now for us trying to unclog it because we don't have the equipment to do that.
Right, yes. I mean, this is, I think some of it can be sweeped out. But
right, some of it,
yeah. Okay. The other thing is on St. Anne, they did the drainage, put the pipes and stuff down.
Correct.
And instead of them just going to pave that whole street, I mean,
exactly.
from the funeral home, from the railroad home down to 7th Avenue, it's like they did a little patch strip.
Exactly.
And it looked worse than it was before. You know, so, I mean, I don't understand why. I mean, it's not like a long street.
Right.
Why they just didn't pave the whole road?
I think a lot of that had to do with what it cost them to repave the whole road.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the bottom line for the contractors, they had to make their profit.
Well, I hope we can add a little bit more to do that.
What was that projection about, man,
for
what Councilman Johnson talking about, to pay the whole road?
Oh, it's in the package. I'm not sure when it is. I don't know off the top of my head. It should be in the St. Anne Street. It should be in the package.
Okay.
Oh no, it's St. Anne
For the
Street.
whole.
He just talking about the part right in front of GWC area.
Right. Just from the railroad track from Mother Funeral down to 7th Avenue.
Right.
So they ain't paid?
They just, whatever they do, they put the pipes in, that's all they put in the script for them.
Right. Anything else, Councilman Johnson?
That's it, I'm sorry.
Councilman Bowling.
Mr. Thompson, have we heard anything else on the level drainage issues in Ward 1, since we don't qualify for block grants? And
Yes.
we've got all the issues mentioned here as well, rainwater popping up in homes, and
Yes.
people call me all times of day and night, upset with me, and want to sue us, and all that good stuff.
Yes, we submitted in December, we submitted an application to API regarding that project area over there, which we're very hopeful and it's a very good opportunity and we think it's a good one. So I'm excited about it. And it was kind of a wishful thinking that we actually did because we had to actually get the engineers to actually do the groundwork before we could submit the application. So it kind of went hand in hand. So we're definitely hopeful and we can't wait to hear that we got it.
Can I get a copy of that original study that they did and have it emailed to me so I can share it with the constituents?
Yes.
And then follow-up question for Mr. Van Dyver, if I could.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Van Dyver, we had a great conversation with the good folks in Ward 1, it's been a couple of years ago, I guess now, and we said a lot of good things and got a lot of interest peaked. And the good folks continue to call me and ask me about just the idea of digging those ditches a little deeper if we could with the mini excavator. I know we had some mechanical issues with that and obviously financial issues to get the issues fixed, but any chance we can get something like that moving in some places?
Yeah. I get it.
Thank you, sir. I'll follow up with you. Thank you.
Mr. President, members of the council, I have a couple more things on my agenda and I'll be out your way. What I have also is a package that many of my team members have worked together to put for financial policy procedures for the city council to go through this, mark it up, edit it, whatever you want to do with it, but hopefully we can get something on the books legally binding and say this is how we're going to run the finances of the city. So with the finance committee and all council members, if you all just peruse this and the day comes to make a decision on how you want us to operate, they'll deal with the finances.
We're working on that also. Maybe we can combine the information that you have with the information that we're getting and combine it together.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Also, now we're down, Councilman Randolph, you asked about the city layoff. I have a package that I gave to you all with positions that was laid off and the sum total cost savings that was added to the city, which was $1.9 million. We had to make that decision because the revenue was not there to sustain payroll. Prior to the layoff, payroll was averaged between $800,000 to $800,000 per month. Now we're around $580,000, up to $600,000 per month. So payroll almost got cut between $100,000 to $200,000, depends on how many payrolls are in the month. If we have 2 months, it's down to 580. I mean, 2 payrolls in the month, it's down to 580. But of course, you have a 3rd payroll in the month, it'll be more. The money that was saved from that strictly went back to paying bills from 2018. And today, we are still paying 2018 bills. We haven't called up yet. And so we don't have the revenue. I would love for all 6 to 8 employees to come back. But if there's some revenue, if the council gives some revenue, we can find a way to try to bring it back. Of course, it'd be difficult to bring back all at one time based off the revenue levels, but we're already trying to figure out ways that we can start at least trying to bring people back in public services if possible.
Councilman Randolph, and then Councilman David, and then Councilwoman Thomas, and Councilwoman Jackson.
Okay, your office sent a report now about the sales taxes that we got for October, November, December. I think 700 some thousand in October, 800 some thousand in November, 800 some in December.
Right.
And then plus you got the abnormal taxes. So I think it's some money, enough money to bring our employees back. But I don't want to run my pressure up. But
I'm saying, if you show me where the money is, I get the same numbers you get from the finance department, and the money that came in for the Avalon is basically being used. We don't get all the Avalon. I think there's a misconception there. It's $3.2 million, I think, coming from Avalon total. A certain percentage goes to the school system, another percentage, greater percentage goes towards the bond fund, and then the city gets roughly $900,000 of the remaining. And most of that money has been used to try to catch up with bills that date back to April of 2018. And so while we may see those numbers, we're still paying bills on a daily basis trying to catch up and make payroll at the same time. So it's not like we have a lot of money sitting somewhere. We're trying to catch up on bills that had not been paid for like over 5 or 6 months.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm concerned because you getting up these numbers, but it seemed like you was trying to hide the city finances from the council, which is the finance committee. And I feel bad being on the council, don't really know what funds we have in the bank. You know, I don't know about the rest of the council members. You know, I want a true picture of the funds we have in the bank. And I think the people in the finance office is afraid to give it to the council because they feel for their job, they might think that you're gonna retaliate against them if they tell us the true financial picture.
Councilman Randolph, as far as from the truth, I can hear your frustration. I was there too, been there. I felt I wasn't getting all the numbers. But I finally started getting some real numbers. And that's why I had to make the decision that we're making now. Because the numbers I was getting at first were saying we have all this money, but we weren't paying our bills. So I understand that frustration, and no, there's no retaliation or no threat anywhere. I totally, hardly, and fully trust the people that work in the finance department. I have to count on them every day. Ms. Oliver gives us all the information that we have. That's solely responsibility of the council. You're right, you own the finances of the city. We just execute the finances of the city. And all I'm saying is that we have to be on the same page. And I think, I understand the frustration. I can hear the frustration. I understand it. And you have my commitment. I'm giving you everything that I get from the finance department. If there's something else that they're not sharing with us, then I need to deal with that, and the council need to deal with that as well. But I'm giving you what I get from the finance department.
You know, I understand what you're saying, but the only person that we have that can really give us the true information was the city treasurer. And you still got her sitting at the house watching Days All Live with Young and Restless and Steve Harvey show and all that stuff, and she getting paid. But I wish you would go deep down your heart and let Ms. Wade come back, because, you know, I'm telling you, it's hard for me to believe the financial situation without Ms. Wade telling me.
I'm glad you brought that up, because prior to me coming to office, I got documentation where the treasurer, Ms. Wade, was urging the previous council to raise sales taxes. You all who've been on the council can vouch for it. I have documentation that urged Mayor Evans and the council said we're in financial trouble. So this is not new. I mean, like the treasurer said that herself, and I give her credit, she said that. So to say we have money, I think we need to go all the way back to 2015 when the treasurer started saying that from the get-go. This didn't happen overnight.
But I understand what you're saying, but I think you need to bring the treasurer back, and we could really have some serious dialogue, because it's just like not gonna go there, but it's just like I'm not getting a true, honest. I won't feel that I'm getting a true, honest picture. I'm not saying you're not an honest person.
I understand that.
You know,
you have your reasons to feel that way.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've done that. What I would love for us to do, if anybody's feeling that way, let's sit down. Let's talk through this. I think it's an opportunity for us to find common ground to say, well, Mayor, we can go to the finance department ourselves and sit down there together and say, show this council member what you are showing me, and so you can see for yourself the numbers. I mean, I have nothing to hide. As a matter of fact, right now we're talking with the IT department and the New World Systems, telecommunications. There's a source out there called Open Checkbook. Open Checkbook is when the finance department put numbers in real time. Not just the council will have access to it, but the general public will have access to it too. And I'm hoping the council will join me and support me in paying for that services that you won't understand the mail not getting this information. Time the deposit come in, it goes up online. Time a bill is paid, it goes up online. And that way it can remove a lot of this confusion and doubt, because the relationship between the mayor and the council is all about trust. We have to trust each other. And that's all I'm asking. Let's build this relationship so we can trust each other.
So I'm throwing out the olive branch to you by saying you bring me way back, and I'm good. You know.
Now, Councilman Randolph, you know that reach beyond my power. If the attorney general say they investigate, yeah. I can't control that. And I asked them to make a decision, say you're either going to move forward or you're not. I asked them to do that. Yeah. So I mean, I understand that, but it put me in a precarious situation when the AG said we're investigating.
But you brought up the attorney general, but that's some.
I did who?
You just brought the Attorney General.
No, I'm saying the reason why. I'm just giving you a reason why. I don't you thinking she's just on administrative leave for no purpose behind it.
But the reason Attorney General got turned information to her because our fake chief gonna go over there to the Attorney General's office and said, I'm behaving. I'm behaving now.
Go ahead.
Don't interrupt me because you get my PTSD flaring up. But like I said, Ms. Wade, you know, I'm just.
Let me ask you this. You said you stay in the Olive Branch. Can we sit down and talk?
Yeah, I'll talk to you.
Me and you sit down and talk.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'll sit down and talk to you.
I'm gonna fly the wall on that, bro.
No, let's make that happen soon.
I don't dislike the mayor.
You just don't agree with me on
But like I said, I'll sit down and talk with you, but what I'm saying, I just hope that we can bring the wave back. I know you're saying it's
that's what I'm saying. Let's talk through that so we can understand where we are.
Yeah, so Attorney General needs to make a decision, you know?
I'm with you. I mean, my thing is, I don't have it all against anybody. I believe that everyone's entitled to have their free, I guess, day or whatever. But you tie the mayor's hand when you have a higher power saying, we're investigating, and then the council for mayor, I'm in the middle of this. And that's not fair to me, that's not fair to you. And so let's see how we can move forward.
All right, thank you, bro.
All right, Councilwoman Benjamin, then Councilwoman Thomas, then Councilwoman Jackson.
Before my question, Councilman Randolph and Mayor Melton, can you all meet next Tuesday together?
I had to get on my calendar, but what time? In the morning?
I'm just being the middle girl. That is his off day from work.
Let's go Tuesday.
And you have said that he can also go with you down to the finance office.
I would
and
love
check out
for
the
it.
finances.
Yes.
There are two departments concerning the finance, the one across the hall, Councilman Randolph, and also the finance department itself, one that takes in cash and checks, and the other one is receivables on the other end. So y'all meet Tuesday.
Tuesday will work, that works.
And y'all come back and tell us how lovely it was.
Let's move forward.
I thank you, my administrator.
You're welcome. I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve. Mayor, how much are we paying in unemployment and insurance?
This past quarter, we paid $10,000.
10,000?
Yes.
The past
quarter? Yes, they billed us quarterly, it was $10,000.
And that's for everything?
Everything.
Okay.
I think we'll get our next 3 months or so, we'll get another one, and we're expecting to be around the same thing, $10,000.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Thomas.
I got a question I would like to say to you
Yes,
as a leader. This 2019, I would like for you as, we all are leaders, you're elected.
Yes, ma'am.
Each one of us elected. And things work good when we be all on one accord.
I agree.
When things, not just one council person should know changes in things and bring before the council. You have 8 bodies.
9
bodies with a president.
No,
I'm not counting you out, but I'm just speaking for me. I'm truly speaking my speaking.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a firm believer of working together. I've always been work together in a team. I'm by unity. But when things happen and things that other council are aware of, or being involved or making decisions, or if the city plan on moving forward, it means that all of us should be a part of it. And when changes come, all of us should know about it. Not just one person should know and that person know more about. That's not good leadership. Because for it to be a strong body, all of us should be on one accord. We should know when something come in or when something is going to happen. Those are my goals.
Well, let me publicly apologize if I hadn't done a good job.
Well, I'm speaking for me.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not speaking for the other. I'm just speaking me as a leader that I expect to be sitting up here. I want for 2019. I want all of us to be on the same accord, but I want all of us to be able to communicate together and solve and make it better for the city.
And I agree. I think your feelings are legitimate. They're valid. I hear it. Somewhere I can do things better, and you have my commitment that That's one of the reasons I'm actually having these committee meetings. So I can go before the committee, and the committees can know, and then we can bring it to the whole council. So I would do different from my end, trying to do it a different way, because what we've been doing in the past haven't been working. So let's try to do this way. But you have my commitment, and I hear that concern, but you have my word, and call me to the carpet if you feel like I'm not doing what I said I'm be committed to.
Thank you. Mayor, I'm so glad to hear your sentiments. This evening, I really want to be in a position where we're going to work together. I have a few concerns.
Yes.
I've sent you several emails regarding the finances of the city, and I followed up with you, making you aware of the will of the council regarding the vote to have access to all daily deposits. We haven't received those as of yet. I followed up with you last week after you sent the email stating that you wanted to work together, and I didn't get a response.
Okay, because so we can talk about those emails, because some of the things I think we need to go into the public works department about the cleanup thing, because I think it's something we need to have a policy in place citywide to make sure that we can have it move forward, because I don't like being put in a position where we have to say, well, we got one council person who wants this services done, then the other council members say, well, I didn't know about that. What Councilwoman Thomas just said, I just think that we can put all that out there, and so we have a policy in place and say, this is how we're going to move forward when it comes to the services that I think you're referring to.
Okay, so we're talking about two different things right now. What I emailed you about, and I'll speak to that and go back to this, what I emailed you about regarding the cleanup for the Jubilee as well as the pilgrimage was allowing the trucks to run on a Saturday and allowing citizens to pay for it, just as I did on last year. And definitely we can speak to that. I don't think it has to.
I think it should be put in.
I don't think it should.
Policy how we're going to do moving forward, because on a Saturday, our guys are already working Monday through Friday. They're back on regular schedule. So I'm just trying to see what the need to have out there on Saturday, what would be extra that they would need to do versus just having the things put out on the weekend. They can pick it up on the weekend. That's the only concern I have.
Right, and we'll discuss that more. I don't think it needs to be in committee because it's not something that I'm asking for monthly, but I think when we have visitors coming into our community, especially the historic downtown area and the areas, they're going to be all through Old Town and the pilgrimage. I think those are very important events, and if you give them an opportunity to work on the weekend and we have private citizens paying for them to be there, I don't think we need to go through a committee to say whether that can be done or not, but we can speak to that because that wasn't the matter.
Well, the issue with that was more about, can we actually do it that way? I mean, it was some legal issues. I can talk with attorney about that. That's my concern. It's not just saying they can't do it. I want to make sure that we're above bar legally. So
right,
we'll talk through that.
What happened last year was they were actually out there working, and they were in our area, and most of the time they are working on the weekend. And so why don't we have a coordinated effort that doesn't cost the city? But that was not my issue that I was discussing. My issue that I was discussing was the access. We voted in a legally convened meeting to have access to the daily deposits. So every deposit that is made, that the council, just as you send us the accounting document, that we would have those documents today.
Well, I'll make sure moving forward that Ms. Oliver gets that too.
Okay, thank you so much. In addition, we also asked for the expenses, that no expenses be paid without it first coming to the council.
I didn't get that notice from the council.
Okay, Ms. Ivy, can you please be sure to pull up those meeting minutes?
Here's the issue with that, and maybe the council may want to revisit that. The council cannot pass a budget and give me a budget where the law says the mayor has to make sure that the bills are being paid in the city, and say we can't pay bills, every single bill, until we bring the bill before the council. And that's, I'm making sure, because I'm not understanding the process.
Actually, we can. I've spoken to the league. We can do that.
It's
not something that we should do, but until we can build the trust back, I think it's something that needs to be done. And at this time, when we passed it several months ago, that's what the will of the council was.
Was this prior to the budget being passed or after the budget?
This was after the budget.
I never got that. I never got that.
I'll make sure I send it again in the email.
No, not email. I want the resolution.
Right, and actually, we need to get the meeting minutes so he can have.
So are they including payroll as well? Because payroll is part of the process.
We identified the things, and anything
okay,
over,
I didn't get that.
In any emergency over $5,000. Actually, you were here for that meeting.
Emergencies?
We gave you latitude for $5,000 for emergencies.
Right, we haven't had
anything over $5,000 that you would not have access to. And actually, you were here for that meeting because you actually stated your time in my hands. And so we'll make sure that you get that, because what has happened is we're paying bills And I'm thankful that we are and that we have the ability to now. We're sending out $70,000 and $80,000 checks. But the will of the council was
Not
that
to
we
pay the
see
bill.
everything
Well,
that
the
goes
issue-
out. And so it may, and I stated
Right,
at that time,
right.
and the council stated this may be something that goes on 60 days because we were laying off employees. We were saying we didn't have any money.
Right.
This did not have to be long-term, but it needed
Gotcha.
to be in place. So we need to make sure going forward that that happens. Also, we voted to defund certain positions. Have they been paid as of October 2018? Have we paid any defunded positions? And are we currently paying any defunded positions?
According to my understanding, we're operating off the budget that you gave me. I haven't received anything about positions being defunded other than the email, nothing from the minutes that I received is saying a certain position was defunded. What position are you referring to?
I'm referring to the chief of staff position.
Chief of staff position not being paid.
I'm referring to the, what was the other position? The HR position, I think.
Well, the judge made it, I think Judge Perry made it clear this past month that when we looked at the Coachman case, the council was fine to focus on the police chief, the fire chief, and the tax collector, but it went too far. That's what his words when they tried to go outside those three department heads. And so that's what we're governed by.
Right, and what you're actually mixing apples and oranges. Wait, actually you may be mixing oranges and carrots, fruits and vegetables, because I'm not talking about the same thing. What I'm talking about is not your appointment powers. And it was
Those are
right
appointment powers.
No, sir. We're talking about for budgetary reasons. For budgetary reasons, you laid off 68 employees to $1.9 million savings. For budgetary reasons, we defunded certain positions in the budget. And we have similar reasons that we're doing things, but we adhere to what you did. You haven't adhered to
because
what you
legally, we had to talk, we'll talk with the attorney legally, I don't think you all can touch other department heads.
Well, I think Attorney Jones is not going to speak to this.
Well, not right now, but I'm saying, but I think it needs to be
Right,
another meeting that we talk, council and I, President Bowie and I, whoever committee need to talk, we definitely need to talk through that.
Yes.
Administrative committee or whoever committee that's gonna be.
I think definitely need to be going on the finance.
Well, don't say either or, whatever
finance
President
committee.
would
And I don't think there needs to be discussion. I think it's quite clear based on the law, based on what I've been able to understand through the league, that we can defund any position for budgetary reasons that we like. That's the only position that we can't defund, we can't change the salary on is your position, but we can change any position for, and we don't have a reason, but for what you've stated to us already, that we have a serious financial condition in the city, and that's the reason that we chose to do those.
So we agree we have a financial problem?
I agree from the onset. What I haven't agreed with is the way that we've handled it, because don't look at my documents, don't look at the data, just believe what I say. Well, I want to believe you, but I want to look at the documents.
Well, we're
as
giving you all
And
documents since day one.
If we have a financial situation, then we also need to adhere to what the things that the council has done to ratify that situation.
Gotcha.
Mr. President, going forward, how do we need to make sure that those big positions are not being paid and those documents are being received? Do you need to send out another email? I've sent several, including last week. Do you want me to forward my emails to you and you resend them to the mayor? Madam Clerk, do you mind getting those notes together, those meeting minutes together, and provide them to the president as well to send with my information? Because what I did was, what I instructed you that I would do is after each meeting that we voted, I send it not only to the mayor's office, but to the council as a whole.
Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I think that was an HR position. That's a code enforcement position. And that was a position as recreation director.
Right.
If you had all three of them positions up, what was the total amount of pay in the position?
It would cost the city roughly between $180,000 to $200,000.
Okay, to 200,000. So, where I'm getting at, this young man is doing all three positions.
Correct.
And he's making what?
68.
So we saving the city
about 120.
Okay. The second thing I want to ask you, Mayor, baseball season about to get ready to come in.
Correct.
And of course, I think we just got two gentlemen, but now, how many we have?
We have three. We have three, and we just entered into another. But the county decided to allow us to use their field again this year, so they are expecting the program to be ran through the city as well.
Okay, so that means that eventually we do gain revenues through the baseball?
Yes, last year we had the highest in the history of that recreation department with gate receipts. I think Councilman Short pointed out last year the amount of money we was able to take in at the gates that itself would sustain the recreation director's salary.
Great.
Okay.
Well, that was, how much was it? 70, 60?
It was 60, about 65 off the gate,
65.
plus another 21 off the concession.
65 off the gate, 20 off the concession, so 86,000.
Okay. So, you know, the season is basically started.
We're taking applications right now.
Yeah, we register. I mean, for
baseball, they already registered for baseball.
No, not just that. I'm talking about we're gonna need some man.
Right, we need manpower to
do the fields and
correct.
cut the grass and all that. So, is we gonna be able to get at least some workers back?
Until we have new revenue, it's difficult to bring anybody back. We are literally struggling monthly to make payroll. That hasn't changed.
Okay.
What the layoff did, it prevented us from being in violation with the Department of Labor. Department of Labor says you can't pay these employees, don't work them. And if you work them and don't pay them, we're going to charge you from $1,900 up to $20,000 per employee if you don't be able to pay these employees. So that's why that decision came out. The Department of Labor contacted us. They didn't give us the opportunity to contact them. They were listening into what was going, and they contacted us.
Well, Mayor, last week on the 200 block of Mechanic Street, I had an issue on Hall and Mechanic where garbage was been dumped.
Correct.
I mean, a big pile of garbage behind trees, and it was done for months.
Correct.
I did call Mr. Steve Hendrick to beg to see can he go in there, but he couldn't go in the field because the field was too soft and we got stuck.
Right.
I had a young man that volunteered, which, you know, he got another guy he paid, which I'm gonna reimburse their money back for getting the guy to bring it to the edge. That following week, a cart was coming back down, and someone called me and said that they back dumping it.
Right.
I went out there myself and went in the garbage and looked until the last minute until I found address.
Yeah, I remember you called.
And I called Mr. Van Dalen and asked him, will he please come on the scene and handle this for me?
Right.
I brought this up because this man is not only doing HR, he's still doing code enforcement. And we gave them till 12 o'clock to come get that garbage up. And they got every bit of it back up and cleaned it up. And told them, you know, and I think they got a garbage can and everything. And I just want to say thank you for what you did, because like I said again, you're doing a 3-man job for what you're doing, and I ain't getting paid enough. But I just want to say that, and what I'm saying is the truth, and I appreciate that.
Okay, Councilwoman Collins, Councilwoman Davis, and Councilwoman Jackson.
I want to say to the body of the whole of the city council, when we did a budget, Mayor, we had a budget now.
Yes, ma'am.
And I want the citizens to know too, because they're the ones that elected us.
Yes,
they're the ones that elected us to make sure that we pass a budget into according to the way the budget, once we did the budget, everything that fell in place. And according to this council, this panel, we said that in the budget that we could put it on the table. They would see the jobs that, the positions, and the things that we had said in the budget. And that's when I said we all have to be on the same page.
Yes, ma'am.
Because the budget was passed. And, you know, this panel has been ignored and questioned because of a budget that was voted anonymously on it and was passed, that you're the chief executive, the things that were in there were the positions that were supposed to be, we voted to say defund or to keep going. So this is where that we want to not, I call the league to find out to make sure that once a budget is passed and there's some things in there that are not carried out,
right,
there are other things, that steps that you go to.
Yes.
So as this year, as this body, we need to work on the budget that we passed and the job classification that we funded in the budget. And like you say, you wasn't aware of how we did.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't understand how you didn't know that this panel had voted and said about these, to fund these jobs.
One thing, Councilwoman, the budget that I think I shared with you all, when the finance department tried to implement and input the budget into the system came back and said there were deficits inside that budget. While the paper said one thing, when they tried to put it in the computer system, it revealed it was unbalanced. I will remind you, S&P saw your budget. S&P saw your budget and say this budget is unbalanced. The auditors have seen the budget, and they have said the same thing. And so it's kind of difficult to operate off an unbalanced budget. And so I urge the council, let's fix this right now. Let's move to try to find a way to fix it and work through that.
Okay, and your urge is to tell us to, I know you put on the table about the gas tax, raising taxes. You should put all types of options. Yes, right. You put to the committee all types of options. You say 5-cent gas tax, you say 1 cent, you were putting out options. And the citizen of this city of Selma, you know, if you deal with the public, you get feedbacks on, they want to know how their money.
Correct.
This is a town with a population of only 19,000 people. 19,000 people where many years that I have grown up. And the infrastructure of this city is based on, that ran on, to where our city is where the condition that for many years that the government by the legislature have carried it, that things that, if some of this stuff have been taken care of before now, correct, to the point where we're at a point now where you got the poor property of the black community and the other side where we have to see that it's easy for you saying that we need it, but we have to see that this city can hold up and afford to take this increase. We know that we need it, but we have to know where our money going. How's the money being spent? You gave us a package, that's good. You gave us a package, showed us where infrastructure payment and wards and things gonna be done. But you have to, it's about being truthful and giving this city, you say we love the Queen City. We all want to do right, but we don't want to fall in that stage again where we raise taxes like the half-cent sales tax. Right. You know, you say you're going to use the half-cent sales tax for something else.
Correction, I didn't say that. I wasn't here, so.
Okay, well, we wasn't here either.
Right.
Okay, the half-cent sales tax was passed. It was supposed to be used for what purpose?
From my understanding, what I read, it's supposed to have been used for capital equipment, police, and one-time raises, from my understanding. And what I'm saying to this council, if this council feel like the previous council and administration didn't do that, you have the authority, the ability right now to earmark that money strictly for that purpose. That's on the council. I can't control that. You all control that money. You all can pass an ordinance and say this money is going to be used for this purpose. I don't have authority over that. That's strictly on the council.
Okay, I thank you for saying that because I'm a fresh start, but I believe in doing.
You can't keep saying you're a fresh start because you're a master. What you call it? You just got that master thing from the league.
Yeah, but I learned.
Right.
I need advance too. That made me a little bit more. My thing is what you just said, that we have to be in order. We just can't say, okay, you pass the 5-cent sales tax. We have to make sure that I want to see the city. All of us, people sitting out there, why they're here.
Rightly so.
We want to hear what our money.
And that's why I want the open checkbook for the city. So anytime money comes in, it's right there real time on the spot. Anytime money goes out, it's right there real time on the spot. I think you can't get no more transparent than that. When the money comes in, it immediately goes online, and you, not only do you have it, every citizen in the city will have it. When the bill is paid, immediately when that bill is paid, it goes up online. You know it, and the city know it. So all of us be on the same page, not just mayor and council and citizens can be on the same page.
So let me ask you this, Mayor. If we had that half-cent sales tax that was done, that was passed by the previous council, if we had stayed within there for the police officer, that money was supposed to be used for like.
It was never earmarked. That's the issue. It was never earmarked. That's why it was told that it was going to be used for, but it was never earmarked. They gave him the teeth to making sure it was for that purpose. There's nowhere in the budget.
It's time to stop that. That half-cent sales tax was earmarked. We purchased police cars out of there. We gave a one-time raise, so you can keep, I mean.
It's not in the budget, it's not in the budget.
It was involved. At the next council meeting, I'm gonna pull a list of everything that has since sales tax was paid for.
Mr. President, I'm not saying
I'm not
that
saying-
y'all
I'm
get
not
this thing
saying-
wrong with it, but the councilman said that we are misappropriating, and I understand why she feels
No, I'm
that
talking
way.
about for the last administration.
Obviously, you understand that, because the reason she feels that way, and the way I can see her point
I
is
asked the
that
question because.
it's not in the
why I
budget.
asked. If you ask us as a council, this council, I have to go back to my constituents. I have to go back to people. If you ask me to vote for 5 cents sales tax, you ask me to raise the gas tax, 5 cents, and okay, you have to have something to give to the people. You just can't go and say raise the taxes.
when you see the potholes in your road, you see the streets caving in, you bring it to me all the time that your constituents are complaining about it. So what further thing can I show other than what you already bringing to me, the
Okay,
issues
man,
that you have in your ward?
I'm not blaming you,
Right.
but I'm saying me as a people. Infrastructure, the little money that we get, each council get here, we use it.
Right.
We use all this money to do things with in our ward. We
Correct.
use that money. We don't just let our money build up. Yes, I think of the years that in Ward 7, with the county money that was saved up for many years, we could have paid a lot of streets in my ward. We could have paid 3 or 4 bad streets in my ward. So I'm just saying, you know, I'm just speaking for me as of when you say infrastructure. We all need infrastructure, but we have to be good leaders on making good decisions.
Right, and that's why I've been assigned to the committee for the council to vet it. If the council say, well, Mayor, this is something we can't do, it's fine. We move on and face other issues that we have to deal with.
So thank you for.
Also, too, let me remind council members that 0.5 cent sales tax was earmarked for one-time raise. We gave a raise for 2 years. It also purchased the bid mic for the police officers, I think in the vest, in the pothole trucks. Also, it helped with the cave-in down on Water Avenue.
Right.
So if that's not capital improvement,
right,
what is it then?
Yeah, Mr. President, now, I think we got this power truck for, what, 1 year without paying, I think, we hadn't paid it for a year, I think, we had that.
It was 1 year, but
Pay was delayed.
Yeah. But also now, I think we did other things with the 2 that came up unexpected, you know, with that 0.5 cent sales tax. So, I mean, it just wasn't just strict for that. It might, but some unexpected thing that came up that we have to take care of.
Like that cave-in?
Well, maybe, yeah, the cave-in.
With the capital?
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think like St. James too, I think.
Yeah, St. James, yeah. That was capital improvement too.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, it was all capital improvement, but anyway. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the question I was gonna ask you, I'm gonna ask you second, because you said something that I missed, I missed the auditor saying. You said that the auditor said that the budget was not a balanced budget.
The auditor saying that our revenues are not meeting our expenses. And basically we passed the same budget based off, well, the same amount, $17.7 million, which we passed in the last 5 years. And our revenues are not totaling up to $17.7 million. What is not being accounted for is the assets, not the liquid funds that we have. And I think that it interferes with our whole budgeting process. And that's why we gave the financial policy and procedures and asking the council to peruse that. And let's get something in place to make sure we're not in a posture while expenses are exceeding our revenues.
Okay, because I didn't hear them say that the budget was, so you put the 17 million into a system, and the system sent it back out and said that.
Every year they had to upload it. Once you pass it, they put it into the system. And it's on the front page of the paper that was given to you stating, not today's paper, I think it was email or something stating that there were deficiencies. And if you don't have it, I can email it to you.
No, because we know that the paper is correct.
Right.
All the time. But they put did they put the $22 million?
No, 17.7.
But did they put yours in the system?
Y'all never voted for it, so they couldn't put it in.
Okay, so they didn't have a chance to put the 22 million with the 17 million. Okay, so we'll go to the question that I had. We were talking about, because I could be mistaken. you said that there were 65,000 taken on the gate, 21 taken at concessions.
Yes.
Which equals to 86,000, which I was under the impression was actually 39 or 40,000. But I also thought I remembered,
We know we have 2 gates now.
I also thought I remembered,
It was 40 at the sportsplex and 20 at the complex.
40 at one place
I
and
think
20 at
yes, if I'm
another.
mistaken, yes.
I also thought, I remember Mr. Van Dyver saying 97,000 for something.
Let me get those numbers to verify, because right now we're talking off the top of our heads. Let me get the documentation for you.
And you have the gate receipts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I will remind you, prior to us coming to this office, the previous administration had an ongoing investigation about money not being submitted to the city from the Recreation Department. And so we've made leaps and bounds from where we were prior to us getting here.
Okay. And then lastly, with the open checkbook, that's a wonderful thing. But as you know, with computers, there's a human being that has to input the information. So inputting data is important. It's time sensitive,
right.
When you're going to do it,
right.
when you decide you're going to do it. We've had a problem with reconciliation.
Correct.
So open checkbook is good.
Yes.
Putting in the data is even better. And so is there a system in place that says that when we make deposits, because I think we were talking one time when a deposit is made daily, then we need to report that.
Right.
Daily reporting. So when we make deposits and we take in whatever it is that we take in from whatever side gets it, thinks it's tax license.
Correct.
You have a person or a team to make sure that open checkbook is accurate?
Yes, so how open checkbook works, we right now use the New World system. Open checkbook is tied to the New World system.
Yes.
And so anytime you put data into the New World system, it will automatically go to the checkbook. So the same company that gives us the New World system, they will tie a new application into our system that will make it available to the public.
And that's part of the package that we pay for?
No, it's something new. That's why I'm talking with them.
About 35, 40,000?
I don't know. They're supposed to be talking with them, but they're going to get back with me to let me know the cost and how it works. I have a meeting with them this Friday at 1 o'clock.
And you'll let us know how much it's going to cost?
Yes, I give you all the information. Mr. Boyd already have idea on what it is, so.
46.
And one of the reasons we're doing
that's
that,
more money.
I
That's why
think
I'm
it's more
asking.
transparency. Other cities are doing it as well. The public has a right to know how we are collecting money, how we're spending money. And I just think it will help us a long way, making sure that we're all on the same page.
Okay, so you'll get us the cost, Mary?
Okay, definitely.
Tuscaloosa uses that software.
Tuscaloosa uses it, Montgomery uses it,
Birmingham.
Atlanta uses it, Birmingham. A lot of cities are moving towards that.
Yes, okay. A couple of things, Mayor. The 86,000 with the Recreation Department, how much that's revenue coming in? How much were the expenditures? I know we had a contract with the county where we had to pay lights or something.
I have to get all that information.
So we may not have netted 86,000. We may have netted 5,000 or 3,000.
We made it net more than 2,000. Because the only thing we spent with the county was the light bill.
The light bill.
Right.
And everything else was free.
Everything else was
Maintenance of the. Okay. And does that? Okay. I'll save that question to when we get in. Also, I just want to, you've said a lot about the budget that we pay, but I want to bring it past, I want to bring it back to your recollection or your memory that when we did not choose the $22 million budget, or actually what we did was we said we do not agree with the raises at this time in taxes and things. What actually happened is we didn't have access to any of the department heads. We didn't have any information. You didn't attend the meetings. You said you brought something to us, and so you're not going to bring anything additional. So that if it was off, it was because you asserted last week that you're making bricks without straw, but you actually required that we make bricks without straw, and so that was probably part of the inability for us to have an effective budget or actual budget to your liking and to your approval or to the audit's approval, because we just didn't have access. We were doing it based on information that somebody could whisper to us or any information that we could gather. Also with the earmark items, I hear you say that, we earmarked for this and I don't have the ability to change it. But we voted not to fund certain positions. you don't have the authorization to change those, but you still hadn't heeded to that. And so I want to, once you start showing us the track record that you all have made the decision and you're the financial body as you say that we are, and I'm just carrying it out, then I will be more likely to not ask for so many things. In addition, inputting data, you brought that up and that caused me to think of some things. So you sent us about 3,700 pages worth of documents on November the 1st. I remember because it's my baby's birthday. And so we had an opportunity to look over those documents. I sent you a spreadsheet of some of those documents. You didn't get okay, could you like, okay, so maybe you didn't get the spreadsheet. So, okay, so I sent you a spreadsheet of some of those documents to the tune in one of 280,000 where I was talking about actual non-licensed contractors that received work and how did that happen, that they received work and they shouldn't have, and wanting to know that process. I didn't hear anything else from you. And also the other ones, as she said, inputting data, what we have is we have data. And now, you can look at the meeting minutes, if she wrote it just like I said, I'm doubtful that someone paid $23.50 to change an air filter. I'm doubtful, but that's the data that we inputted. That's the data that the financial department gave us. And so we have $2,350 for a air filter. I would like to know if that's $2,350 for all the air filters all year, and that's why I sent you that package. And in addition, we have about $3,800 for digital thermostats. And if you look on that wall, it says change a digital thermostat. They didn't change that one. But was that all the digital thermostats in all the city buildings? That's what I'm talking about. When we would input data, and I peruse your financial book, and I would definitely look through it with a fine-tooth comb. But we have to make sure that we're entering accurate information, because what we don't want to have is they put that in the new transparency system, and then everyone go ballistic because we paid $2,300 for an air filter and $3,800 for digital thermostat that wasn't changed up here. And so can we sit together? I don't mind meeting with you if you let me know a date like you did, Mr. Randolph, and we'll go through those documents. Because I put them on a spreadsheet. I've put determine all the vendors, the cost, the check numbers, the vendor, the actual invoice number, as well as the check number and the date it was paid. So it can make it easier. We didn't have to go back through it. And if you could just print out those invoices to me and let me match them up, and then you can see where there may be errors, and that's something that you can correct in the system going forward.
Definitely, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, the question about the meeting record, you offered a meeting council.
Yes, I would like
I know that you have court on Tuesday.
Yes.
And the mayor
I
has
have court Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
So Friday, Mayor, seems like it might be a good lunch meeting for you and the councilwoman to have a meeting if you're available on Friday.
I'll check my time. Friday, I know usually until 2 o'clock I'm kind of tied up, but yeah.
So maybe after 2 you all can meet.
I'll send you an email tomorrow.
Sure, that'll work. Okay.
And I'll send you back that information just in case you didn't get it, so you have a chance to go.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Case in point, in that documentation, I think I talked to Mr. Van Diver about this. It lists, me buying one game camera for $532.
Right.
I didn't buy one game camera. I bought like
Same
5 or 6.
in the system, right.
So again, it's very misleading to her point.
Right. And that's something we talk about in the department how they.
Yeah, that's all. Just to reiterate that, I know they're limited on amount of time. There's a little bit of amount of space you put in there, but maybe some way to kind of code that a little easier so people aren't easily misled. Like that would be very misleading.
All right, my last question.
Found the theme. Oh, you got a question? Oh, okay.
This may be a personnel question. Legal secretary and administrative assistant, same amount. Is that just more so semantics?
Legal secretary
and a administrative assistant.
Let me give a personnel about that, because I think the legal secretary might have to do with years on in their position.
But I thought we were doing away with all secretaries.
I think they'll certainly get the personnel department to see how that legal secretary thing worked out.
That was the first two lines you talked about?
Yes.
Right.
All right, go ahead.
Finally, school system, there has been some miscommunication, misunderstanding. It has never been my posture or position to ask the council to take money from the school system. I asked tonight that the council assure the school system that the city does not want to take money from it, if that's the council posture. As mayor, it's never my position to take from our children. And I believe all 9 of you will agree with me that that's your position as well. And I just want to clarify the records because there's so much confusion that the city has taken money from the school system. And if you all can clarify that through a vote or whatever you ought to do, because the minutes reflect that y'all voted to take the money. That was the minutes reflect.
All except for one.
Right, except for you, Mr. Boyd. Right.
Councilman,
I beg to differ with the mayor. The minutes had some requirements to it before that vote actually became a reality. I would like to read something into the records on this issue. The Selma City Council is voting on whether or not to continue to support Selma City schools with the yearly $400,000 generated by sales tax that was authorized in 1982. If the purpose is to generate revenues, why must you do it at the expense of our children? Schools already get very little money from federal and state sources that have to be distributed and budgeted usually very thinly across the board. Selma is known as the Queen City. It is the historical hub of the civil rights movement, yet it suffers from some of the worst poverty problems such as high crime, gang activity, gun violence, and no new industries. Research shows that one of the most important problems facing American inner cities is the adolescent feelings of hopelessness about their future due to living in low-income neighborhoods. Most youth surrender to the challenge or threatening circumstances they face on a daily basis, which yield to the essence of hopelessness. They have been taught to hate themselves because they have no idea of what self-love is or how to love themselves. Poverty is also associated with perceived feelings of failure, of prediction, hopelessness. Some youth don't care to make future plans because they feel they may not make it to their 21st birthday. While some of our students raised or residing in economically impoverished neighborhoods may not succumb to feelings of hopelessness, poverty can still be stressful for them because of the environment their classmates live in. We finally have a superintendent who has a clear vision that she constantly shares with all stakeholders to move the district further. I attended the Selma City Council meeting where she presented this vision to the City Council and expressed her interest to create partnership with the members of this council. You don't remember Dr. Williams standing before us. The children of Selma are our legacy, just as we adults are the legacy of those who came before us. To cut this funding will impact our students today and tomorrow. Please reconsider voting against it because our children deserve it and much more. And shame on you, Selma City Council, if you vote to take this money from our children. I want that for the record.
Councilwoman Benjamin, then Councilwoman Thomas, then Councilwoman Jackson.
I'm a great writer. I wish I had written something. Yes, I do remember when the superintendent came before us. And Mayor, when she came before us, she asked us, also in her written statement, to find some money like we found this money. I had to correct her because, see, the council didn't find this money, you did. When we were in a meeting, and I want you to clear this and bring some more clarity because you started off to bring clarity. You want to clear this up.
Right.
I didn't have a clue about this money.
You did.
At all. Right here?
Right.
Councilman Bowie, I think, had left the meeting already, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know if he was privy to the information that you gave me that day or not.
No, I think he was present.
Okay. I know he left early on both meetings to go back to work.
Our conversation was about the need for revenue.
Right.
And I was sharing with you and President Bowie all the money that we give out to different agencies outside of city government.
Right.
That was the conversation.
Mm-hmm. And so, in your discovery, you all discovered that in 1980-something, there was 82, $400,000 going into the school system. So, for clarity's sake, why did you present that information to and deliver it to the council by way of Angela Benjamin? So let's clear that part up because I want that part to be clear as well.
We'll clear it up. I gave you all every single dime that was going to different agencies inside the city. It wasn't just that agency, so everything was on the table. The nonprofits we give to, the YMCA we give to, it wasn't just the school system. Why the school system was singled out to take money from, I don't know. I never asked you all to take money or vote to take that money. I was just sharing what all the money in the efforts of being transparent. I had just learned of it through the city attorney at the time, Jimmy Nunn, because I kept on asking why, when I looked through the financial documents, why are we giving sales taxes to the school system? He researched it for me, and he discovered back in 1982 that Mayor Smithman, along with the council, decided to vote to give 20% of a 1 cent sales tax to the school system. And that was what I was sharing with you all, not to say let's take this money, and that's why I came to clarify tonight. It's not my posture to take money from children, it's my posture to give them more. That's why we had that conversation about Avalon. Avalon need to be for public safety in our school systems.
It was a wonderful discovery, and you all had talked about that a few months before you delivered it to me, right? You had talked to the city attorney a few months before, right? And y'all had this information already.
Well, it's in the financial package, but I was having problems trying to understand why the sales tax was in there. And when I discovered that, we had a meeting set up and I shared with you what I discovered.
Okay, so I did want that clarification because, you know, it was kind of forceful when the superintendent came. She just basically said, y'all find this money, find it from somewhere else.
Well, we didn't lose the money. We were just
the council didn't find it.
Well, we understood why that money was going there. That was the whole thing. It was clarity for us to understand in the financial package we was getting why sales taxes was going to the school system. Because my thinking was all sales taxes was coming to the city, but we discovered that all sales taxes were not coming to the city. Some was actually going to the school system.
Okay, it was a wonderful discovery.
Yes.
Councilman Thomas, Councilman Jackson, and Councilman
So, Mayor, let me ask you this. It was brought to the council, but we did not know that the school was getting that money. And you know, each one of us sit up here and like Councilman Show just read that up. If you live in Selma, and if you live, you know what property is, and you know where your neighborhood is, and you know where your schools are. So if you visit your schools and you see for yourself the situation, how the schools are, and how our children go to school, and the neighborhoods that they come out of. So my thing is this, when it came across me, I'm thinking we found money.
I understand that.
But the thing is about it, it never came across none of us. It never came across to, it was pulled up, like you say, you were looking into where the money at.
Right.
But when you brought it and you gave it to the council, we're assuming that there's you found some money that we could use.
I can hear that.
We was thinking to use this money, that $400,000 that you give to the school. We was thinking that this money could be used. This money could be used with the employees being laid off. You know, when someone bring you something and they don't give you the straight up clarification of this, this is what as leaders do when you say, oh, we got some money, we have some money, we can put the workers back. But after we find out, and now we see that this money has been going into this system since 1982.
Now, I think part of it to clarify too, not that we found money, we found out why money was going from the sales taxes from the city, and also it's not $400,000 at one time. It's averaging roughly between $30,000 to $40,000 a month, and that's based off the sales taxes that are coming in. And so that's been the agreement that the city has had with the school system since 1982. And so it was just shedding light on that. And if there was a misunderstanding of that, that's what I'm saying tonight. Let's clarify. It's not the mayor's position or the council position to take money from the school system.
But it does add up to in the yearly, and it adds up to $400,000.
It can go from $400,000 to $600,000 depending on what the sales taxes coming in annually. Because the sales taxes fluctuate.
No flat rate.
Right.
And
you know, but I see the principals in here and some of the teachers, and some of these principals and teachers, they teach at these schools.
Yes, ma'am.
And you know, it's like we see that we all know the schools, some of our schools are like it, and we know that we can't afford to, like Ms. Williams told us, she don't get the funding that she will have to lay off. She came before us at the work session. She told us that means that you have to cut your staff, but we cut our staff too, because we don't have money coming in to bring these workers back. And everybody, you know, the man from the line, everybody's asking for money, but we have
Correct.
Councilman Jackson, Councilman Bowling, and Councilman Mitchell.
Okay, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just happened to meet with, or get an opportunity to speak with Councilwoman Pro Tem right after that meeting, and she was excited about the information that you had given her, the revenues that we were sending out, and that we should do something with that. Was actually her sentiments from you. The mayor has made me aware that these funds are going out, and what are you all going to do with that? And you stated here tonight that you went into a meeting discussing revenues and funding. And so giving her that information with all the other agencies and things, and because I've heard you ask before that we need to cut agencies. You stated that before. And so I see how she would get that idea.
Well, along with that, I would add, we talked about sales taxes, gasoline taxes.
We did. But we're talking about.
I gave them that full report.
Right, so I'm saying, so it's just
I'm
targeting
specifically speaking about the school system.
No, but that's including that whole conversation, I'm just giving context.
I'm specifically speaking about the school system. So right now, that's what I'm specifically speaking about. And what I have an issue with is if she asserted something that was incorrect based on your conversations, then she should have been called immediately.
I didn't know until you all special called me. I never knew y'all was gonna vote on that.
Right.
Until I read it in the paper.
Right. And did you call her immediately and say, this is not
Well, I read
my
the paper, the
intent?
mayor made the recommendation, I never made that recommendation.
Did you call her
No, I
immediately?
can ask that now tonight. I think it's just make it once for all. It's not in the will of the council, of the mayor to take money. Regardless of what miscommunication between me and Councilwoman Benjamin, and I think there may have been some miscommunication, let's make a decision tonight to say, well, that's not our intent. I'm saying publicly, I don't wish the council to take money from the school system. I ask for you all to undo that vote or to redo that vote, to repeal that vote and say, no, the city of Selma stands strong with the Selma City School System, and let us move forward. Based on miscommunication, there was some taken from a different perspective, and I can understand that. I can understand she could have took different.
If you allow me to finish,
Right.
thank you so much. What I'm saying tonight is, we wouldn't be in this position, but now that we are, we have to think about, as the chief executive officer, just as Ms. Williams, Dr. Williams came before us, the chief executive officer of the school system, she came before us and she told us what the woes were for her system.
Correct.
Your first responsibility is to the city of Selma. And so if we're in a position, in a posture that we're not raising taxes at this time, but we're giving money out to other agencies, why wouldn't you stand with the council and say, at this time, this may need to be a cost-saving revenue until we are in a position that we're ready to raise taxes or do some other form. In addition to that, I want to say that the school board, love you all, appreciate you being here tonight, made decisions based on their agenda, based on their revenues, based on their expenses, based on their budgets to close down schools. Just as I said to Dr. Williams, they had to do what was best for the school system. Right. They did not say, City of Selma, how is this going to impact me? City of Selma, what can you do? City of Selma, and that's with our revenues. They still did that. That's with, I think you may have been in office when there was a half-cent or full-cent sales tax that was passed, that they're actually getting half in 2012, 2013.
That happened previous to me being in office. The county tried to take the city portion and give it to the county.
Okay, and you stopped it. And so they're actually, after, we can agree that after 1982, that they got funding to the tune of maybe $2 million in addition to what they were already receiving from the council in 1982. So long, about 2012, 2013, someone tried to take the money, but they're getting to the tune of maybe $2 million.
So the county still oversees a meeting.
Right, and I'm not, what I'm saying between 1982 and 2013, they got additional funding.
Right.
Right, and so, and to the tune of millions of dollars, we haven't been in a position where we've gotten that type of funding from another source to help with our schools. So what I'm saying to you is my responsibility, love the system, but my responsibility is to the city of Selma. If we cut off our lights and we close our doors and we file bankruptcy, where would the children be then? When we laid off our 6 to 8 employees, their children are in this school system. Then they go home and they may not have meals at night, or they may see their parents with difficulties trying to pay the light bills and keep things done. And she asserted on Thursday night that there may be decisions that they have to make to do that if we take these funds away. But we've already made those decisions. She also explained to me that they only have 1 month reserve. We don't have any reserve.
Right.
I mean, so we're looking at giving to individuals that have, or agencies that have more than what we have currently. And I know you're not stopping, but what I'm saying is this is, as the councilman stated, purely a business decision. It's right now, we have to make a decision to keep the lights on. And just as I stated to her, Dr. Williams, whom I respect, and I think she's doing a great job and respect the leadership there, but at this time, we're going to have to stabilize the finances of the city before we can undergird anyone else.
We got Councilman Bowling and Councilman Shore, and then we have executive session tonight also.
Oh, joys. Yeah, I'm just going to say, we're talking about the $400,000. The school system gets $1.3 million a year from the city, I believe. So, none of that's been written up in the newspaper or any of these articles, and she didn't come and say thank you for the $1.3 million when she came before us. But we do give $1.3 million to the school system, so it's not like they only get $400,000 from us. So again, they get $1.3 million. They have a $32 million budget. We have a $17 million budget. So, let's look at this realistically. Again, I'm not for hurting children or doing anything against children. I love children. I got 2 of them myself. But the reality of it is, let's talk about the $1.3 million they're already getting in the school system, not just the $400,000 that we may or may not decide to take away from the children. So I think that's part of the conversation we need to consider.
Okay, Councilman Shore.
Mr. President, unlike other agencies, City Council appropriate funds yearly to other agencies. However, the schools are different from other agencies. The $1.3 million that my colleague spoke of, that's governed by statutory laws of the state of Alabama, so that they ought to get that money anyway. But the 20% of the sales tax, of the half-cent sales tax that was authorized by this council in 1982 was earmarked, and y'all heard that term before, was earmarked for our children in the Selma City school system. You all heard Dr. Williams came and make a plea not to interrupt that resource because it is in her budget. Although it is true that this city has had layoffs, has nothing to do with our school systems. The appropriation of the appropriation by this council in 1982, and I know a lot of y'all probably wasn't even in Selma. Wherever you was, this council in 1982 voted to give, and if you go back and read the minutes, there was a bond being floated. And there was a councilman that insisted some of that money be appropriated to the schools, because that councilman saw how valuable the education of our citizens is, y'all. And for this council to even entertain taking this resource from the school system, it's just not right. And I hope and pray that if this council go on record and taking that money, I hope the citizens rise up against you.
Okay.
I really do.
Okay. Who's next?
I thought it was Councilwoman Thomas, but she
stepped out.
She stepped out.
You gonna put a motion on the floor?
I'd like to make a motion that the city of Selma do not interrupt the resource that was authorized by the Selma City Council in 1982, that money will continue to flow and flow as it has been ever since the bill was authorized in 1982.
I'll second.
We got a second.
I would ask that we wait for the 2 councilmen
For
return.
I just have a question
Go
for
ahead.
discussion. Mr. President, has this been voted on already, and who was the majority?
I got the minutes to that, Mr. President.
Thank you.
It was voted on a condition. That condition was never met, so therefore the vote failed.
You didn't write him a letter?
They supposed came to us and met with,
There was supposed to be a meeting of this council.
and read the
There's supposed to be a
minutes,
meeting, there's supposed to be a meeting of this council,
tell them
and
to
the
come on,
school
so we
board.
go ahead and move forward. With this vote.
The $400,000 project amount being paid to an entity is described in the minutes of November 19, 2018. I'm going to read the whole script.
We can take a vote now.
Yeah.
Okay. Roll call.
No.
I think it was.
If it was voted on already, who was in the majority to bring it back up is my question, and he said he has clarification to that.
Well, I was on somebody that voted against it. So
Oh, so you
anybody-
voted for it too, Council?
Yeah, I voted for it. I did.
You voted
And I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to eliminate me from voting on
I
it.
didn't-
That's what you're trying to do.
I didn't know you
Yeah, I
voted
voted for
for
it.
it.
But I was voting because of the condition that was established. The condition that was established for this vote was in these minutes.
Mr. President, I didn't know he voted to take the money. I did.
I did, and I know exactly what you're trying to do.
I didn't know you
were
voted.
attempting to- You can bring it to the floor.
Councilwoman Youngblood.
Never mind.
All right, roll call, please.
That the city will keep the resources within the Selma City school system.
President Boyd,
The $400,000 remain with the schools.
Yes.
President, Councilman Boling,
Yes, sure, why not? Let's give away all that we got.
Councilwoman Youngblood. No. Councilwoman Jackson,
No.
Councilwoman Benjamin,
Yes, we're giving away money. YMCA next.
Councilman Randolph,
No?
Councilman LaShaw,
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas,
I'm sorry, I'm serious, y'all. This is something to me. I can't, I'm honest, y'all. I have to for the school, I can't.
Thank you.
I have to, I'm sorry.
Yes, it's a yes or no.
I'm for the school, I have to be for the children.
She is a yes or no.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Anything else, man?
That's it for the night. If we can move forward by putting things in committee, I think we can expedite this process.
Yes.
The committee can make a recommendation to the full council, and then we just can go stuff up and down.
Hey, Mr. President, before you leave, can I ask one question because of concern my closing remark committee?
Yeah.
Okay, recreation. Mayor, what is the fees gonna be on the recreation for the baseball team?
Well, this year's $10, but we want to bring it up. We want to put that in your committee, your recommendation.
Right.
To increase those fees to maybe $50. Other cities, it's around $200 just to participate in these games. Things have changed. $10 can pay for a hat. So I think we need to revisit that.
Okay.
We definitely revisit that in the recreation department committee.
Okay, I do that, and because me and Councilwoman Youngblood want to look into the issue, but we'll bring it up in the committee, and because we want to help some of the families that got kids in the baseball, but we'll talk about it. I'll just need to be real soon on that. Okay, thank you.
President, I'd like to make a motion that we get a list of all current employees, their titles, and their pay, and that be sent to us within 10 days from the mayor's office. If I can have a second.
Second, Mr. President.
That's a personnel issue. I give you, we operate off the budget that you have. You already have your budget. So, I'm like, it's in the budget. So I'm gonna give you your budget back.
Actually, when we requested that information the last time, it wasn't given to us. I said.
What's in the budget though?
No, I asked for all employees.
The positions are in the budget.
I asked for all employees, their names, titles, and salaries. And I asked that we have that within 10 days. That was my motion, second by Councilwoman Benjamin.
But I think President Board can agree, and maybe we need to talk with the attorney about the council trying to give me a directive. The council is not a board, can't give me a directive, give me this about a certain time. It doesn't work that way. I have to respect your position as council people who control the finances. You have to respect my position for the daily operation. This is about reciprocity. It's not about the council say, Mayor, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. I'm saying to the council, give me more revenue. And the council say, well, Mayor, no, you do all this for we give you revenue. But meanwhile, we want you to give us all this stuff. I think it's reciprocity, both forth. So I'm like, I would give you the positions, and that's what you're entitled to, the positions.
No, actually, it is reciprocity, and we've asked for this several times.
I asked for revenue for over 2 years.
We've asked in a legally convened meeting by a majority vote that authorizes, that mandates, that requires you to provide the information
You all
the
can
body is asking for.
It's in.
There was
Is this in reference to the motion that's on the floor?
no, he acknowledged me and
Go ahead. We'll discuss. Go ahead. Okay. We're in the discussion phase of it. Is it related to this, Councilman? No. Okay. All right. Anyone else? Any other comments? All right. Roll call.
What the motion, what we doing?
Provide us with the names of every employee that's currently working, their salaries, and their titles. Those are things that we asked for in the budget that we did not receive, and those are things that we need.
The HR person, would that not violate any confidentiality, any privacy information?
I will remind you, Council.
I'm just asking a question. I don't know.
If I could, I will remind you, according to what I heard tonight, the council voted to defund the HR director, which basically means we don't have an HR department. You can't function an HR department without a director. So I'm not sure where the information is going to come from since I don't have an HR department.
Maybe the financial department?
They don't do payroll. HR did payroll.
The HR does all payroll?
Yes.
But wouldn't they have to put it in their system?
It's an
so
HR department.
how the checks cut?
HR department.
HR cut all the checks?
Yes.
Is that something new?
No.
So this
Because I thought
Payroll is inside HR.
I understand that,
Right.
but I thought payroll was a part of finance.
No.
So we
Some-
pay them, but we don't use the finance.
Finance just do the lump sum. They put them out in the account for it to be paid.
Mayor, I just think you're being disingenuous and not wanting to give us that information. What?
Don't worry about it.
I mean, if you give me a reason, I need to.
Well, can I give a reason? Because in HR at the waterworks, Ms. Chelsea Oliver is the one that do, the payroll at the waterworks, and she, the HR over there, Ms. Oliver.
Okay,
She
so
do the
let
checks.
me ask this. So you stating tonight that we don't have an HR department. So you agreeing that it was defunded and it should not have been paid, and that all monies that have been paid are going to be returned to the city. And as of today, we don't have an HR department. If that's what you're saying,
Well, I'm saying based off of your,
I would withdraw my motion.
I'm saying based off your conversation, you are saying that we no longer have an HR director, so that person can't give you information. That's what I'm saying.
I didn't ask for the HR.
But that's where it comes from. Though. That's where it comes from.
But no, like you said, we don't have an HR director.
Come on.
She said we don't have an HR director. I didn't say that. She said we don't have an HR director.
Oh, I thought you said.
Right. She said she didn't find the HR director. And I think that's a conversation that we need to have with President Boyd, if you don't mind. The conversation you can have me on.
Council.
Mayor, I want to ask you a question.
Yes, ma'am.
For the past 2 years since we've been here as a council person, the one that you said that do the checks, okay, before the HR, I'm going to show you something. Before you moved this Nazi, she's the HR person that does the
Payroll.
Payroll, okay. Before then, she was in there with the finance office. She had been in there or in the previous all the time. So I have a question to ask you. Why did you move her? Just let me ask my question because I'm entitled to it.
Yes, you are.
Because I've been trying to figure it out too. Because for the last 2 years since I've been here, and for the previous year, they always been down there in finance office. So all of a sudden, there's come up recently about a month ago, I think. Maybe about a month, maybe this might not be a month. You just moved Nancy out of the finance department and placed her in the HR department with the person, with the, what she is, she's the other, she's a personnel clerk, personnel. She's a personnel clerk, am I right? So you have a personnel clerk, and you just moved the finance person out of the finance office. Now you said you placed her up under the HR department to the priority that you did not have her in there in the beginning, because Judy was in HR too, and Judy was classified as what? She was what was Judy's classification?
I had to look.
Administrative assistant.
Okay, Judy was in there as the administration assistant.
Assistant one, I think it was.
Okay, and then you had the personnel clerk.
Correct.
Okay, so how did this transition happen so quick?
Okay, good question. Common practices in most organizations, payroll and HR is together. Not only did we move Ms. Ishman from upstairs, Ms. Pauline from upstairs, we moved her downstairs to the HR department because she handles benefits. She handles benefits. And so what we did, we housed all payroll issues inside the HR department, which is common practices in many organizations, many private companies. At one time in the city, payroll was inside HR, and they split it out another administration. So that, just based off administration, what style of purpose, I think it worked best with people who have benefits, where they can talk about their benefits in the same department, they can talk about their pay in the same department, and that's why it's in the HR department.
Okay, that's good. Councilwoman,
let me say this one thing, I'm going to remove it, but based on what you just stated, we have 2 people at least in the personnel department. So
but they don't run the department.
Have an HR.
You can't.
2 or 3. So we could get that.
But you can't run the department though.
Go ahead, and I will withdraw my motion. We can do it through that other avenue that you stated.
And I would then need to withdraw my second. I think a lot of this is spawned, Mayor, because people are confused with the title of Mr. Van Dyke. What is his title? What is Mr. Van Dyke's title? I think that brings on a lot of confusion, and we can clear this up, and then this may not hit the floor again.
According to the budget that you all gave me, y'all had me listed as a recreation director. According to y'all budget that y'all gave me.
No, we didn't. According to the one you received?
Yes, the budget I received, right.
So you didn't receive, what you're saying is you have to receive what we're talking about up here. The councilwoman named 3 positions that were defunded. You don't have that budget, is what you're saying?
No, I don't, I'm not sure with 3 positions.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
I don't know how many.
Okay. Do we have a motion to go into the executive?
Yes. Somebody.
Do we have a second? Okay.
I was going to ask you, since he's here, since my colleague had item number 4 removed for discussion as it relates to the Jubilee.
Yes.
I know my colleague over here, she had a list that she had brought to us when she had met with the Jubilee Committee, and she had indicated that these are the things that they had agreed upon back in May. July. I had some serious concerns about no current meeting of the people who will bring about some decision as it pertains to the Jubilee.
Right.
So, Mayor, could you fill us in? Have there been any contact by the Jubilee Committee asking for any available resources to ensure that the Jubilee come on without any problems?
On Friday, I had the opportunity to meet with Attorney Sanders. That was my first time meeting with her. I was presenting some information that previously had been discussed in previous meetings that she was unaware of, as well as myself. So I couldn't speak more about that because the information I received, I had just received it myself.
So I guess
I'll give you my copy.
Okay. So my question, Mr. Mayor, is who would authorize the Public Works, the Police Department, Crossing Guards to be a part of this Jubilee activity?
That's usually the executive function.
So no one has contacted you about this?
No, they haven't.
So, getting back to the beginning.
I have several hands. I want to make sure Councilwoman LaShore is finished. I'm going to go to Councilwoman Jackson, Councilwoman Thomas.
Don't let me
back around this side.
Can I just
But let's make sure he's finished, and then we'll go to Councilwoman Jackson.
I will yield 30 seconds to my colleagues to retain the floor.
Thank you. I just was gonna ask real quickly, if we could just table this.
Yes.
Because I think that we need, for a couple of reasons. Number one, and first and foremost, the people on this committee are presently not with the city that was representing the city on this committee. And I think that in all fairness to Councilwoman, and I think that in fairness to a lot of, to our rules and our ordinances with regard to the, you know, what we're going to do, and in light of a lot of the things, I think we just had too many important things on this tonight to be able to go in. The Jubilee is real important, and it demands that we give it due attention. So I'm going to make the motion that we table this till the next meeting.
Yeah, because I think I should be part of that as well.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We'll go, before I go to Councilwoman Jackson. Yes, the Jubilee is very important, and I hope that this council will pass this. And so these people can get on with their business of taking care of the logistical matters. We're back at March, y'all. The Jubilee is in March. In fact, it's February 28th, the first day, and here we are again going back over why we should support the Jubilee, the biggest function in the state of Alabama. Here we go again. Let's squash this and get rid of this now. And I understand, Mayor, somebody brought some information down to you, and all of this stuff was injected into the conversation.
No, the issue is regards to me, Ms. Selma's talking, and she never asked me for any services when it comes to public works, police department. She was kind of baffled at all the same information that she saw, and usually as an executive functioning thing, me and Ms. Selma's talking. We're going to try to see what ways we can work together to make sure that no negativity come out of this event. So I'm on board working with the Jubilee, but the conversation never came to the mayor's office.
Yeah, that's not rehash history. And Ms. Sanders, so you know, she was in the meeting.
Yes.
She was at the meeting. You could not make it, Councilman Johnson, to the meeting, the second meeting.
Right. I just want to make sure.
I'm going to go to Councilwoman Jackson, then I'll go to you, Councilman Johnson.
Okay. First of all, if we recall later in the year, about February, we were at this same position, February of last year. No one stepped up. I think the first year. No, sir.
I'm the one who basically had it going.
No, sir.
Come on, let me, hold on, let's get out of conversation.
Let me finish.
Councilman Johnson, let her finish. Go ahead.
Our Councilman Sam Randolph stated that this is the reason I say that we need to extend the olive branch. This is the reason I said we need to have a committee that meets with the Jubilee Committee. We formed that evening. She can pull the records, Ivy. I said, this is not something I want to do, but since no one took it upon themselves last year to do it, I guess I will. I did. You did. You did. Or neither one of you all did. Neither one of you. Councilwoman Benjamin in that meeting that night asked to be a part of it. So did the council president. You said, let me know. You said you weren't aware of the first meeting. I called you myself for the second. I called you myself. I didn't have to make you aware at all. You could have been notified like everyone else by email. But I called you myself to make sure that you were aware of the meeting. Hold on, let me finish. Allow me to finish. And I made you aware of the meeting. You said that you had other arrangements. What I'm saying here is this is a recommendation by a committee that was brought forward. Now, this disingenuous, dishonorable, and with a lack of integrity, someone went and stirred up confusion. The Bible says, mark the man that brings forth division. And he needs to be marked. Because what he did on Friday was got Ms. Spidey Rose into a position that she said that she doesn't remember any of this. She was present at that meeting. She was on fire at that meeting about the things that she wanted, and we agreed. Some of these things that we agreed on, I do not even.
Hey, Jerry, I need you to listen to the officer, okay? If you don't, he's gonna take you out. You don't have to leave, but you do have to be quiet. You don't have to leave.
Okay. Some of these things I did not concur with. but as the chair of the committee, which consisted of, again, I say, President Pro Tem, and yourself, and those that came to the meeting agreed on these things. Yes, it was Sergeant Thomas at the time who represented, that's who the department, police department sent over to represent them. Our financial office was brought forth, the representative from that office was our treasurer herself. We sat down at 2 different meetings and hashed this out regarding the impact, regarding the feasibility of Jubilee 2019. 2019, not going forward, 2019. We were bringing this before the council to make their decision, for her to get with the mayor's office, excuse me, not even the mayor's office, the police department, because actually the mayor doesn't meet with everyone that has a venue that they want to do inside the city. The police department originates that, and that comes directly from the mayor, his statement. And so what I did was brought forth the recommendations, and what you all have done is made a mockery of the work that we put in. What you all have done was allow confusion to be embedded into this conversation where there was none. What you all have done is allow this to be a focus again right here before the Jubilee. Instead of saying we extended the olive branch, we make the decision, and these are our recommendations, and vote them up or down. This is not about Attorney Fire Rose and pleasing her. This is about the council making a recommendation as a committee. If you had a committee and brought forth something, you would not, Councilman LaSure, want me to go back and circumvent that process and cause confusion in that process. What you did, you said it to me that I should call her again. I don't meet to just meet. As you can see, I'm holding my child now. I'm very busy. As you know, I work 4 days a week in the courthouse. And so my time is very, very valuable to me. And the fact that I have to sit here once again and go over what I initially went over, hold it for me, Councilwoman Thomas, what I initially went over is really ridiculous. What should have gone forth tonight is that you voted it up or down, because these are just recommendations. They're not mandates. But what we did was we allowed this to be the bed of confusion that it has always been. What I've tried to do was resolve some of those issues by taking my time out to meet with them. And if Fire says she wasn't there, her memory is bad, because the minute meetings reflect that she was there. Did she agree with everything? No. Do I agree with everything? No. But this is our recommendation. Just vote for it. So they will have an opportunity to vote it up or down, and then they have from January the 22nd to the 1st of March to get all their logistical things in place. And the fact that you couldn't be at a meeting doesn't stop it. Doesn't stop it, and shouldn't stop it. And the fact that you felt like that we should meet again shouldn't stop it. Because I asked you on Thursday night, if you would like to chair, I will send you all the information, but I will not meet again. My time is too valuable, and I'm not going to waste it going over things that I've already gone over.
Okay, Councilman Johnson, and then Councilman.
Well, first of all, I feel like any council person need to have a notice. You don't call me at the last minute to be at a meeting when I'm busy, I'm out of town. I think every person need to have a decent time enough to let you know ahead. It ain't like you just called that meeting today. I mean, I'm pretty sure you knew before that particular time council was going to meet. I'm out of town. I can't come at that particular time. First of all, y'all wasn't nowhere around on the work session. I don't know what's going on. I'm just getting the information as of today. So I don't know what y'all is. I didn't get it back. I'm so tired of going other things, and you know what the situation was. So I don't know what's going on. Second of all, me, President Bowie, and Councilman Thomas had a meeting with the Battle Selma. What's good for Peter, gonna be good for Paul as well. So what we saying is, we gotta be very careful. What we do for Jubilee, we gotta make sure we do for the Battle Selma as well. We met with that young man. And that man, the only reason he didn't have the Battle Selma last year because they said it was too late, they didn't have the funding available. So what we saying is, we need to make sure, whatever we do, we need to make sure that if we gonna do this, it's like last year. I met. The only reason we had that thing last year because I worked it out with the mayor and some I ain't selling them, but we can have it. I think it was $5,000 that we had to come up with, and we agreed to accept that. So same thing that we told about selling, they need to come up with maybe not quite $5,000, because they might not need all the manpower that the Battle Selma had. So all I'm saying is we need to be careful. So whatever we do, we need to make sure that we're gonna have to give the Battle Selma the same thing, because they're gonna come back to us. Because whatever we decide that we do for the Julie, we need to make sure they be prepared for the ballot assembly as well.
As I get ready to go to Councilman LaShore, he's next, unless he yields to you. But we did. I know that you've been out, and we know why you've been out.
Right.
So we did discuss the Battle of Selma, the fairness across the board. Councilwoman Thomas is the one that brought up that particular discussion, and to lead them in. And so I'm going to go to
I'll make clear myself out.
I've been,
right, and we know where you were.
I've been attacked up here, Madam Pro Tem. I am not the author of confusion, but I have a problem then as well as now. When you talk about having activities for the city, for the very important function of Jubilee, and you're talking about activities and recommendations and things that was talked about in a meeting that was held back in July. My only concern Monday night was, have there been a current meeting? Well, you got to understand, Kendall Thomas, who was speaking on behalf of the city, is no longer with the city. So my concern about some problems being arisen as we approach Jubilee, my only concern was making sure that there were no problems. I support Jubilee because my mother was one of the original foot soldiers who was beaten on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. A lot of people make that claim, but I got pictures to show what she did. And she did it for her children because she refused to continue to live the life of no liberty for her children that she and her siblings had. And I take exception for being accused of skullduggery activities. I stand by what I said, I stand by what I do, and I don't hold my tongue about nothing. I still say there needs to be some current meeting between the mayor's office and this council to ensure that the activities that will take place for the Jubilee goes out without a hitch.
As I prepare to go to, thank you, Councilman. As I prepare to go to, and end this with Councilwoman Jackson, let me remind you all who is on the committee. We keep calling names of people who are not on the committee. Here's who is on this, here's who is on this ad hoc committee. Councilwoman Jackson, Councilwoman Benjamin, and President Bowie. Everybody else either invited themselves or sent by a department because they should be. Everybody else came to the meeting like the public could have come to the meeting. Every committee member that's on the committee is still here and present. Still here and present. Councilwoman Jackson.
Councilman, the emails, we still had administrative assistant at that time that we had our 2 meetings. The emails went out. Now, I don't know why you didn't receive it, but I did call you and say, the second meeting, because you weren't here at the first meeting, and you said you did not receive the email, so I called you. That was a courtesy.
No, I asked you to let me know.
No, and the way I let you know, made you aware, was making the president or assistant aware to put you on the email. And so the email went out. What I did again was gave you a call. You didn't receive the emails in reference to the mayor. Right. You didn't receive the emails in reference to all the paperwork that the mayor sent us even back in November. And I sat here and sent it to you. What I'm stating to you is that I gave you a courtesy call and said, let me make sure he said he didn't receive the last email. Let me call him. But I don't put that on my to-do list to make sure I call Michael Johnson, Councilman Michael Johnson. It was a courtesy. And it may have been at the last minute, but it was something that I thought about. Thank you. So that should have been a reaction.
I appreciate it, but I'm just saying there was I didn't get.
And what I'm saying is, Councilman, Sergeant Thomas was here, and he's no longer here. That's the representative that they sent, and said logistically, and all he was able to say was logistically, you shouldn't need as many law enforcement officers or what are those other crossing guards, because you're no longer having the event down Water to Lawrence or down Ford Water Avenue and down Lauderdale, and you're no longer crossing Broad Street. That was all that he had to say. There should be less funding in the amount of public safety because we have to ensure that all those streets are covered. We're not. It's in a contained area. I mean, the fact that we're even discussing this is ridiculous. The fact that my councilman, whether he takes exception or not, goes to the mayor's office, present this information erroneously, calls Fire Rose and have her go off on an individual. And this young lady, I was actually on the phone when she called, and he put them on the phone between the mayor and the councilman, and she was screaming and crying. She was actually in tears. yeah, actually unconsolable. When I spoke with her, I prayed with her and said, listen, we're gonna get this done. We can vote this up or down. What I decided to do was make sure that we thought I was going to do is make sure that we wouldn't have the confusion that we had the last 2 years. This same mayor that wants to work with everyone now was the mayor that said you either pay $35,000 or you go across the river. That's that mayor.
So what we with the financial? What we with the financial part?
We're at $5,000, and guess what? You said let Peter, Paul, let everybody do from James and do from John. I didn't ask to be over the committee for the battle. And if we need someone to be over the committee for the battle, maybe someone else should step up. And if no one steps up, I'll step up again. But the fact of the matter is, I stepped up for the Jubilee Committee. And whoever steps up for the battle committee can look at what we said and can say, we're going to do both of these things.
That was our biggest problem was finance, so we good.
Okay, so let me remind you all.
So if you had read the notes, and if he had read the notes, it was consistent with what Ms. Wade stated they made last year.
Okay, so listen up before y'all go back, because I need you all to know this, whether you vote or not today. So when we meet again, it will be 2 weeks, okay? When we meet again, it is going to be February 12th. The first day of the Jubilee is February 28th. That gives the Jubilee 2 weeks to take care of their logistical matters because we're not in charge of that. We're just in charge of property and buildings. It's up to them to go get their lighting, their sound, the police officers, their crossing guards. They can't make a move until this panel makes a move. We meet again February 12th. Y'all think about all this stuff. Yes. Before we get it voted on and decide. Exactly. So y'all think about that before we close out. So,
don't we need to make a motion for the executive session?
Yes. Then we get a second. Go ahead, Councilman Brenda.
Madam Clerk. Yes, sir. I want to change my vote to a yes on the school board. And I'm concerned about our employees. You know, it seems like it's unfair to the employees, 16 employees. We give $400,000 to an outside entity, and they still at home. I don't think that's fair.
Okay, we're going into executive session.
But change my vote to yes.
Okay. Was there a motion and a second?
Yes.
Okay. Did you cast? Go ahead.
Yes, I vote yes. But I have not done the roll call on the table of the Jubilee.
Okay. Okay, but I need 5 of y'all back in this room. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 1 more person back in here sound.
Kelly, come on back in here.
I need another person in here.
And then we need to make a motion to go into executive session. This is the motion to table that we're about to take action.
Well, yeah, okay, so we're going to take it in order real quickly, Matt.
This is the motion to table.
Motion to table.
That was motion by Councilman Youngblood and seconded by Councilman Johnson.
Okay.
President Bowie, Councilman Boling, Councilwoman Youngblood.
Y'all remember what the table was for?
Yes, ma'am.
There was the table for the Jubilee committee.
Oh, I think we did.
Councilwoman Jackson,
No?
Councilwoman Benjamin,
No.
Councilman Randolph,
No.
Councilman LaShaw.
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas. To table or not, the Jubilee.
No, don't take. No, it's not gonna pass.
No, don't take. Councilman Johnson.
I move.
Almost there.
Okay.
It's there.
Okay, so now for executive session. Let's go through that real quickly.
I move to go into executive session.
Okay, let's go. Vote.
President Bowie, Councilman Boling.
Yes.
Councilwoman Youngblood.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jackson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Benjamin.
Yes.
Councilman Randolph.
Yes.
Councilman LaShaw.
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yeah.
Executive session. We'll be back.
But two of us, you can't come.
I'm trying to get them back.
Council members in the back,
Council members,
please return.
I'm ready.
Council members, please return. Y'all wanna, can you give us,
Everybody gonna buy now?
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Come on, let's go. We have a majority. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come on. Yeah. Okay. Do I have a motion to reconvene the meeting?
So,
Roll call.
President Bush.
Yes.
Councilman Bowling. Councilwoman Youngblood.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jackson. Councilwoman Benjamin.
yes.
Councilman Randolph.
Yes.
Councilman LaShaw.
They didn't wanna go nobody's name back there.
Councilwoman Thomas.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Okay. All right, then.
It's bad.
No,
That's going back.
Okay. We say we have 2 votes. Okay. Do we have a motion on the floor? Come out of executive session. Do we have a motion on the floor? So moved.
Second.
You got to take the motion.
After,
Mr. President, I make a motion that we come out of executive session.
Oh, we already voted that. The motion that, the recommendation that was given.
Is that what you were making a motion for?
Oh,
To
I
reconvene?
thought we were doing reconvene.
I thought we already called that. Do I have a motion on the floor?
I was like, I'm able.
Okay. The motion from,
I move, Mr. President, that we, authorize our attorney to answer the lawsuit in the affirmative, that we, that answer in the affirmative about, the city council's maintaining, maintaining authority over the positions that we are statutory, that we have appointment authority over.
That's good.
Second. Have a second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All right, roll call.
President Bowie.
Yes.
Councilman Bowling.
Pass.
Councilwoman Youngblood.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jackson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Benjamin.
Yes.
Councilman Randolph.
Yes.
Councilman LaShaw.
I take the position, and I still hold that position. This council should not be hiring an attorney to fight our case for Renita Wade. She has an attorney. Her attorney needs to fight her case. So therefore, my vote is no.
Councilwoman Thomas.
yes.
Councilman Johnson.
I'm on screen till I get up, I don't understand what's going on.
What's the count?
It passed.
It passed.
Okay.
We have 6 affirmative, 1 pass,
It passed.
1 no, and 1
You have what now?
abstain. We have,
It passed.
it passed. We have 6 affirmative, 1 pass, 1 nay, and 1 abstention.
6111. 6111.
Right.
6111.
So we need for.
Okay, what's the,
What?
The Jubilee.
That's how it's done.
I don't know what we're gonna say, but I bring forth the recommendations as deemed appropriate by the committee. What, it didn't pass?
The tabling didn't pass.
Oh, it didn't pass, okay. So point 1, access from Broad Street to Lawrence, that the Jubilee will now be held from the Broad Street to Lawrence Street. And point 2, which is the same, which is we're moving it to the east side of Water Avenue from Broad to Lawrence. 3, access to the Evans Building and Amphitheater. Point 4, no food trucks or vendors in the park or surrounding the sidewalk. This includes all other merits that were previously done to provide the grease cleanup, the grease pails, all those things. That they'll have a gate at Washington, Franklin, Green Street, and Lawrence. This is something that they've maintained that they would have to provide, not the city. And that we would do this in a timely manner to notify the businesses in the area of any major traffic or underlying traffic that would be in the area, and also ask the Selma Times Journal to do a story. Alrighty. Number 7, approval of overtime.
I want some clarity on this. Is access to the Evans Building and to the amphitheater, does that mean for free? Is that what that means?
That's essentially what was discussed. I don't know if they put their 5,000. I thought 5,000 was going to the public safety and paying for that. And so if the 5,000 is going to that, then it's essentially for free. If it's not going toward that.
Here is my rub with that. We have had group after group after group, wonderful people, religious groups, Christian groups, gospel groups, that have wanted us to waive the fees and reduce the fees. And that's what we have always said, because it's in the ordinance, that we would not waive the fees for the Evans Building or the river, or the amphitheater. That those were each time we said they would not be waived, they would not be, even George Evans can't get away. So, and none of us could. Now, what we have done is we've passed the hat and we have chipped in. I certainly wouldn't be averse to assuming that we have enough money, if we haven't given it all up, to chip in some to help offset the cost for that. And we've certainly done that. That's just, and I may be the only person who feels like that. I've supported the Jubilee. I certainly don't have any. And I thought the amphitheater was $3,000. I don't know. But anyway, okay. But and it's nothing, I've always supported Jubilee. I've gone to it, blah, 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 blah. So I'm not disparaging the Jubilee, but that is the only thing. And I have brought that up a myriad times, that we do not waive, we do not reduce to those people.
I want to second the motion. You did include the 5,000 in your recommendation, right? I want to second the motion, Mr. President.
That confirm that the bridge of Crossing Jubilee will pay the $5,000 that required. And I want to say to you, thank you for the way that you handled that. You said this is not something that we've done. This is not something that we've generally done. What I've done as the chair was guide the consensus of the committee. That was our council members as well as their members, and brought back to you. And it's our decision to vote it up or down. And so I really appreciate the way you handled that, because what you can say is I vote this part, but I don't vote this, and this gives them an opportunity to go back, recollect. If they actually wanted, they may be saving money from doing stages, but those are things they need to determine if we vote not to do, because ultimately it's our decision. These are just the recommendations. These are not the mandates and requirements. These are the recommendations of that committee, which included Ms. Fire Rose, which included Casey Bailey, which included Abina Billups and Sam Walker, and plus the council members that were named here.
So this is not solid yet, what you're saying?
No, these are just the record. All of us met in here. These are the recommendations that we're bringing back as a committee, and saying these are the things that we've agreed upon that they would like to see happen. It doesn't say that we're requesting that you do all of them. It's saying, hey, as a council, we need to vote as a body on which ones we're going to pass or we're going to pass it off. So these are just recommendations.
They will finalize this with I'm going to finalize everything. Will you do a MOU between the both parties?
Excuse me,
did you make the motion? I heard a second, but I didn't make the motion.
Yes, ma'am. I started off saying I would like to make a motion to approve the following recommendations.
But I still haven't gotten clarity. Does that mean that
Yes.
they get those buildings for free.
Yes, that's what they're asking, and the recommendation from the committee is requesting that the council approve those for free. We expressed, and the understanding was, well, maybe not, because we've never done it, but this is the council's decision, so I brought to you.
How we vote that?
So you can say, out of the 7, and, I gave everybody a sheet, do you have yours?
Can we say?
So you can say, I vote for 1, 2, and 3, like we do the consent agenda.
Could that $5,000, could that pay for, I mean, it's up to them, or is it earmarked just for cleaning up?
It was based on the information that we discussed here, that 5,000 helped with the cleanup and public safety. So it helped with the officers, and that's why they said that officers and actual patrol, they're not school patrol.
Crossing guards.
They're actually be cut. The number that we need will actually be cut because we shouldn't be crossing.
Not crossing Broad Street anymore.
And they may have some money saved, could have some money saved from the crossing guards, maybe.
Well, we didn't go into, we didn't go into all that. My recommendations are 1 through 7. That we
don't give the amplitude.
I made the second, Madam Clerk. I made the second.
Would y'all like me to go over those again?
No.
Who has the final authority?
We have our
on
sheet.
Yes, ma'am, I give it to
Who
you.
has the final authority on the recommendation?
The council.
Yeah.
The approval of overtime, who approved that?
The council. It's approved in the budget. And the mayor that just said he's willing to work with them, I'm quite sure that they don't need as many officers that they need. He's asserted he's willing to work with them, so I'm quite sure he's not going to say, well, I only want to give 1 overtime officer, not 2. It's getting a little late.
It's getting late, y'all.
Can we have a roll call?
On Tuesday.
Just
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, President.
Yes, whatever.
Councilman Bowling.
We're voting on Jubilee getting them free buildings and stuff, so I can't vote for that.
that's, the buildings are number 3, access to Evans Building and Amphitheater. If you would like to go for 1, 2, 7, excluding 3, you can do that. But if you want to vote it all down, it's okay to do that as well.
No.
Councilwoman Youngblood.
I will vote for everything except for the Evans building and the amphitheater.
That's not true. Yes.
Councilwoman Jackson.
As identified by Councilwoman Youngblood, I'll vote for all but 3, and as though she stated this is an ordinance and we're the law and council decision, so I don't believe that we should deter from that.
Councilwoman Benjamin.
Yes to the motion.
Councilman Randolph.
Yes to the motion.
Councilman LaShaw.
Yes, provided the executive branch of government is included and have their stamp of approval.
Councilwoman Thomas.
Yeah.
Councilman Dodd.
I'm gonna abstain. This is all very well. I'm gonna abstain.
Hey, can we just,
Three-toed, the loop
I mean-
goes out of the woodwork on Saturday, then yes.
do we need to, is there any person committee reports we need to give?
I need that.
No.
Bring back some information on these potholes.
Potholes.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, you know, next council meeting, I was going to meet with Mr. Van Dyke and Steve Henry and bring back some information about the you want me to hold on to this to the next
hold on.
work session? I can.
Please do. Also, too, I'm gonna be getting some dates for RDS, the workshop in February. I'll just be emailing you, the dates for February, RDS. Do I have a motion?
Please.
So moved, Mr. President.
Let's go eat. I hope my dog doesn't.
I see my family, people.
Oh, you go y'all flash.